We're recording on the Ustream. Hello, people watching the live streamed post-recorded version.
The post-record. It's not post-recorded. You can't post-record something.
You know what I mean. It's not live.
Post-recorded.
It was live.
This
and now
is
it's
the
not
version
live.
of the Computer Action Show that we recorded after we did it.
That's right. We recorded it. Well, and technically we do because I just did it and I'm still doing it. But by the time you hear it, I've already done it.
What the hell are you talking about right now?
There's a slight delay between when I do it and when they see it. So it's already been done.
Holy moly!
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, baby. All
right.
right. So we got a lot of stuff going on. We're gonna hit the audio record button in just a moment. So you're seeing the behind the scenes version where we, of course, record the show like it's normal, but we record the intro at the end. So you don't get the intro until you stay all the way to the end. It's crazy, I know.
Right.
But this is how we do
but
things
one of
here
the things
on
we
Jupiter
do try to do in this live version is try to work in pictures of what we're talking about. Throw some screenshots at you.
Oh, we got more than that. We got whole screen grabs going on this
We're going to
week.
actually do a visual walkthrough of openSUSE in this episode.
I am
11.2.
completely blown away.
All right.
Completely blown away. So steel yourselves. Gird your loins, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot to cover this week.
Here we go. Ready when you are, J. Rand.
Wait, what about me? What about maybe going when I'm ready?
You ready? I'm ready. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I was born ready. I'm not ready. Let's do it.
In 3.
No, wait a minute.
Wait. What?
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Screwing with Jeremy behind the camera, everybody.
In 3.
Ready.
2.
Uh-huh. And welcome to the Computer Action Show, Season 1, Episode 5? 6. Maybe 7. I think it's 6, though. My name is Brian. Right next to me is Chris.
Hey there, Brian. Today in computer history, Microsoft releases the Windows XP operating system. This was October 25th, 2001.
Wait, really?
By January 2006, they had sold 400 million copies of the operating system.
Mother of God.
So kind of interesting that
Wait,
Windows...
how many million? 400?
400 million.
400 million?
Yeah.
Do we even have that many people? I
The,
don't even think that's possible.
What's interesting...
Here's the thing.
All right.
1 million people is a lot of people. Like, let's just start counting. I'm going to use my hand here. So for those of you who are watching the video version, you get to see my hand right now.
That's right there.
All right.
I can see it. It's right there.
Here's how we're going to go. I'm going to count this.
1.
1 million. That's my thumb here. 2
2
million.
million.
That's my finger. And then afterwards, I start to get confused, and I just say many million. 400. I have to do what I just did 200 times just to have it. How many people live in the United States?
Like 300 million. I don't know.
You just made that up.
I think it's like 150 million?
I think it's like 80 or 90 people.
No, dude, it's way more than that.
I don't know that many people, you guys.
Dude, it's way more
I'm
than
just
that.
being serious right now.
All right. So
I'm not even for joking right now.
here's the thing. What's interesting is, Windows 7 came out this week, and it's...
Whoa. So on its that's on its 8th anniversary of
It's
XP?
right. I didn't realize that Microsoft. I didn't realize that they decided October was the time. It just
Wow.
They must feel like
Apparently,
there's
yeah.
something to do with October is the best time. How there's best times to launch a movie, best times to release a video game.
Apparently it's
Apparently,
October, yeah.
Microsoft feels that October is the month for an operating system.
And you know what? It seems like all the Linux people agree too. Everyone releases everything in October. We got openSUSE coming out. That's in
17 days.
It's 17 days. So that's November. But
Ubuntu
comes
keep
out.
failing. Would you quit
Ubuntu is coming out this month.
failing? Yeah, no, it is. I know it's and
So-
Snow Leopard came out some time ago.
Wait, what?
Snow Leopard came out some
what?
time ago.
Wait. What are you?
I don't know.
I don't either. All right. So
I want to talk about something with you in the top of the show.
All right.
I got 2 things. First, I want to tell you a little story, everybody. So gather around the fire here, children.
Ooh, a Chris story. I'm
Yep.
ready.
Papa Chris is going to tell everybody a story, so everybody listen up real close like.
Okay.
So this week, I had an interesting experience. I have clients, and
Okay.
I do IT work for these clients, and one of them is a neurosurgeon. And there's a big push right
Whoa.
now in the medical field to do something sounds like something from the 80s, but it's fairly modern. It's called telemedicine. And what telemedicine is video conferencing consultations with doctors.
Uh-huh.
And the practice would be, for example, if you're in middle of BFE nowhere and there's not any really well-skilled doctors because they're all in the big city, a hospital could teleconference in a world-renowned neurosurgeon, ask him a few questions, get his consultation, and then disconnect, and then they can go apply treatment to the patient. Now, the way...
Hey, Chris, this is great, and I'm going to let you finish and everything, But Stargate Atlantis has been doing this for like 7 years now.
Well,
where they've
check
been
this
doing
out. So it's actually full 720p HD resolution video conferencing with like no latency. They use these dedicated Polycom systems, which I think run Linux, all H.264.
Those are expensive systems.
Yeah, they're like 10, 11K, but it's really a sophisticated system. Anyways, I went and saw a demonstration of it, and I helped implement the box and stuff like that the other day. I'm debating if I should put the video up on YouTube of like the demo. I don't know if people are interested in that or not. But it was interesting. They said so they had this hospital that with sometimes when an ambulance had like a stroke patient, ambulances would have to drive right past the hospital and keep going to another one where they knew they had doctors that could work on those patients. Well, now in different areas, these ambulances are now able to stop at the hospital where they couldn't before because they're able to dial up a doctor, dial a doc on their HD video conferencing and bring these guys in. So that's kind of neat.
That is kind of neat. And what's really cool is if and
it's all hardware based.
And bear with me here. You use the exact same idea, right?
Okay.
You get the two Polycom systems at each end.
Right.
But then you dial the Stargate. And then you can basically do it interstellar. You can do it intergalactic even, because it turns out the Stargates work that way.
Let's just
you can
be
have
frank.
someone on Atlantis.
Let's just be frank about that.
Who's sick.
There is literally no option but to do that if we're going to explore the galaxy. Because you can't have doctors everywhere we go.
Correct.
And we can't be held back by it, so we've got to use it across the galaxy.
We need to use the
dialing
Stargate.
the Stargate.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
The other thing I want to talk about at the top of the show.
I said correct at least 6 times there.
And I'm gonna
thrills me to know.
I'm gonna wax about this with you. And thinking of Google makes me think you should bring up the ad copy. But Brian, myself, and Jeremy, who is behind the camera.
Are we going to talk about Wave?
We're going to talk about Wave a little bit.
We're going to talk about right now?
A little bit. I just thought we'd, because we got a big show with an openSUSE 11.1 or 11.2.
We can't dedicate a
We got
whole
Windows
thing
7
to
coming up.
this.
We got listener viewer feedback, so we've got to get into it. But I just thought we'd wax on about Wave just for a second.
Are we going to wax on about how horrible it is?
Well, see, that's what you're going to wax on about. And then I'm going to wax on about how meh I am.
Terrible.
And then since Jeremy isn't mic'd, I'll go on about how much Jeremy loves Wave. Loves it so much. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell everybody that if they went over to facebook.com/Jupiter Broadcasting, later in this week, I'm going to give away 4 Google Wave invites to whoever needs them, wants them. And that's over at facebook.com/Jupiter Broadcasting. You become a fan there, and then I'll announce before I do the giveaway so you have a little time to jump in. But anyways, so we've been playing with Wave, and because we do these shows, we've been playing within the context of show notes and show preparation. So what we've done is we've tried playing with we've created a Wave, and then we're prepping stuff for the next episode of Stoked, our Star Trek online podcast. We're doing things like screenshots we find, notes, and stuff like that.
Yep.
So, Brian, what do you think of Wave? What is your general impression? It's just,
all right.
Go for it.
Here is Wave in a nutshell. Take instant messaging from 15 years ago. Okay. Bear with me. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Get that in your mind. Remember what it was to have AOL instant message. Wait. ICQ. Remember ICQ? Okay. It's ICQ.
I'm going to bring up Wave.
With no other functionality in a website.
Well, no, that's not true. You can embed images. And you can embed gadgets.
Oh, you mean like instant messaging? It's just, what's the point of this? So here it is. You can see what people are typing as they type it. Lame. Because to start with, while that's funny, everything, the only purpose
I'm a horrible typist.
The only purpose for it is either to make fun of Chris and what a horrible typist he is.
But everybody knows that already.
Or to use it as jokes. So you start typing and be like, wow, Chris, you are super, super ugly and totally, totally the gay right now.
So,
and then you backspace and you get rid of that and say, I mean awesome. And then that's the only funny thing you can do with it, because that's the only, why else would you need to see what people are typing in real time?
Now, the typing in real time I agree with, but here's how we're using this Wave for Stoked. As I went through and
it's impossible to read that.
I went in and dumped a bunch of screenshots into the thread, and then Jeremy went and categorized them. So I can add something, then Jeremy can go through and kind of categorize it. I made a comment about a guy that won a lawsuit against Paramount over some Star Trek IP. Jeremy went in and added a little bit of back information and some comments. I put in the IRC transcript, and then there was some corrections made, and it's good in that sense, because it's a document that we can it's instant messaging and a document that we're collaborating on together.
No, that's cool. But see, here's the thing. So if I want a document that I want everyone to be able to add stuff to, why not just get like a Dropbox account or an Ubuntu One account and share it amongst my friends? That way everyone's got it. Yeah, that was my contribution to our Google Wave, by the way.
A picture of boobs.
Yeah, You're welcome. So, but why not have like a document, like a little like open office document or an RTF file or something like that sitting there
In Dropbox.
in a Dropbox account. That way, if Google Wave ever goes down, I still have all my data. I still have the ability to collaborate. I still have all that stuff. Plus, I have way more power because then I can have any application that can technically write to and this is crazy, brace yourself, ladies and gentlemen, a file. I know it's weird. That software might be able to write to a file and save that said file on a thing we call a hard drive.
Right.
But then I can have that on all my friends' computers, on my computer. It doesn't rely on the internet for me to be able to do my job to get at that data. For this, if Google Wave goes down, I'm totally screwed. Can I export? Where's the save button?
No, there's not.
So so I've got all this great information.
And if we're in the middle of doing a show and Google goes down, then we've lost all our notes.
And also, you can
which sounds ridiculous, but last week Google Voice went down for an hour, and I was completely screwed for that hour.
And my Google Calendar goes down at least once a day. So at least once a day, I can't get to my calendar if I use Google Calendar.
That's no good.
So now, and the other thing is you can do inline replies in your Wave.
Right.
So now, again, they could have just called this an instant messaging session or a new message thread or a forum post or something. They had to rename it a Wave, which is stupid.
I guess there's no reason we couldn't do an RTF document in Dropbox or even a form. We could even have our own private section in the forum.
It would be just as powerful. Because this allows inline replies. Okay, inline replies are great. So basically what that means is if Jeremy's typing something and he is long-winded as hell, I can basically double-click on where he's typing at and I can write, oh gosh, please stop talking. And he can keep typing, but it'll still have, when I go back in there, it'll have that little reply in that roughly spot. The problem is, after you do that 3 or 4 times, you have replies of replies, and it's nearly impossible to read.
I mean, it's like if also what we're doing could be accomplished with a wiki.
Yeah.
So what I do like about it, but it's not necessarily, I don't know if Wave is the right way to do it. I like having all of our show notes in a spot that 2 years down the road we can be like, what did we talk about in season 1, episode 8 of Stoked? And then I can go back to it and pull it up. And that's nice.
Oh, that's cool.
So, but it's also good for making your show notes. It's good for making show notes, and it's also nice. Like if Jeremy's at work and wants to slack off, or if I'm at a client and I want to slack off and I don't have the application, or I don't have Dropbox, it's nice for that. But then again, I don't know why I wouldn't
Dropbox or something. You have web access.
Why wouldn't I just use? Yeah, but then you got download me up. Why not just use a wiki or a private forum section?
Right, where you have control over it.
What do you think?
I don't know. I'm looking at this, and like, let's say you got a new message in your Wave. How do you get to it?
Yeah, you got to scroll all the way down to it. Like I actually
no. You can't scroll all the way down to it because there's going to be inline replies and bottom replies. There's going to be replies all over. Yeah. You have no real way to see which is which.
This here's a one with 56 replies. It's almost completely impossible to follow it.
You can't follow anything. It's a completely worthless concept.
It's interesting.
It's worthless.
I don't know. I mean, the ability to. So here's where the inline comments are kind of cool. Is if somebody has a thought, then I can make a comment on the thought, and then the entire thread continues on. So it's almost like I can almost make like little notes and things inside a document. I don't know. It's not so bad. Like, see, this guy,
word processors already do all that.
He included a drawing inside the Wave.
Like a word processor.
Yeah, I guess so.
Or a wiki.
Which now
both of which
and
have
now
the
image
power.
And I was having a problem with this yesterday. The images
don't show. But that's
there it goes.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with there being problems because it is a beta.
It is beta, yeah.
It's not even a beta, it's a preview.
Yeah.
So, but I'm like looking at it and I'm like, I just don't see the use for this. I mean, they hyped it to no end. They made it sound like it was the second coming of the internet. It's going to change the way you interact with everybody. And honestly, there is no way this would help me in my job. There's no way that I'm going to use this as my email.
If you didn't have a forum and you didn't know how to use a wiki and you didn't have Dropbox.
Are you going to be able to take this and stop using email?
No.
Okay. Are you going to be able to stop using instant messaging?
No. And
are you going to be able to stop using your internet forums?
No. And that's the problem. So it doesn't solve any of that. No.
This does not solve any problem.
No.
So then what's the point?
It's a new way to collaborate. It's a new way in the sense that I can't use any of those old systems with it, and everybody would have to be using just this system.
Right, but it's not like a new way in that it makes something new possible. Everything it does, you can already do.
Right.
So
in fact, we could accomplish what we accomplished just through a shared Google Doc.
Exactly.
Because Google Doc supports shared editing.
So that's exactly it. Google themselves already created the functionality that the only thing I can think of this as being used for. So why would we need a new thing? Why on earth would Google pay developers to create something they already have?
There's something about having it all in one spot. Like, we got fantastic show notes for next episode of Stoked. I mean, we've never had
But
this.
it's not all in one spot though. Do you have all like your Google Calendar and your Google spreadsheets and everything?
Oh,
right
dude,
there?
that would be awesome.
Now, see, that would be neat, but that's not what this is.
They've got to. They've got to.
You need to find the widgets.
The gadgets or whatever they're called,
Yeah.
right? You can embed widgets and
It's
gadgets
a bunch
inside
of
a Wave.
poopy. It's a bunch of poopy.
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
I declare shenanigans.
I mean, it does kind of work for organizing show notes as long as it's not a big conversational thread.
Yeah.
But it can get a little messy.
But are we giving away some invites to this?
I am going to, on the over at facebook.com/stupidbroadcasting.
Okay.
I'll do it sometime mid next week or towards the end of next week, the week that this episode comes out.
Yep.
And this should come out hopefully either on the 26th or hopefully the 25th or the 26th. So I'll try to give out some invites the week of that.
There's abouts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So people can jump in if they like. But all right, why don't you read something from our buddies over at
from GoDaddy?
I'm going to go hit a button.
I just want you to know that this episode of the Computer Action Show is sponsored by GoDaddy.com, the world's largest web host and domain name registrar. Best word ever. If you're ready to make an impact online, GoDaddy.com has got you covered. Domain names as low as $1.99. That's 199 pennies. Think about that. That's not that many pennies. Where was I at? I don't even remember. Plus, world-class hosting with unlimited disk space and bandwidth, do-it-yourself website builders, dedicated servers, SSL certificates. They'll probably come to your home and give you a back rub. I don't even know. It's crazy.
Holy moly,
so
Brian.
much stuff. Plus, as a listener of the Computer Action Show, enter promo code Linux. That's
buddy.
Linux. All uppercase
Right?
and all powerful with that big X at the end. At checkout and take an additional 10% off the entire order. If you ordered the moon from GoDaddy, 10% off the moon. Some restrictions may apply. See site for details. Get your PC internet now at GoDaddy.com.
Oh, thank you, GoDaddy. You know, I've got a bunch of clients now. People come up to me and they say, Chris. And I say, yes, stranger who came up to me on the street. Awkward. And they say, what should I use for a cheap hosting, but it's good? And I say, well, they do sponsor us, but I also genuinely recommend GoDaddy. I've got a bunch of clients on, including several of my sites and our sites and a Mir network. Very happy with the GoDaddy hosting. And you can use code
I love it.
Linux20 to get 20% off hosting plans.
Dude, that's a great deal.
Right?
20% off. And here's the thing. It's 20% off your hosting forever. It's not like just like the month you sign up, you get 20% off. You always get that 20% off, which is a pretty friggin' good deal considering it's kind of cheap hosting to start with. So anyway.
Right.
Can't recommend that enough.
All right, Brian.
I guess I can recommend it enough. I recommend
just
it
did.
one big time per show, and that's enough. But that's still a lot, is what I'm saying.
Gotcha, buddy.
Gotcha.
Hey, can I do a thing?
Yeah.
All right. Here I go.
Ready for it.
All right, Brian. Let's do the news.
Nice.
Yeah. I'll be using GoDaddy. Nice. Thanks, MRAM.
And so
I did so, too.
Here's the thing.
Well, she
About-
does look like a crazy lady.
Yeah, I know.
Who is that person?
I don't know. She's a winner. So here's the thing about GoDaddy.
What's the thing about GoDaddy?
So if I use them and I pimp them, it's because they're legitimately good, right?
Right.
Even if they do pay us to pimp them, legitimately good, we use them.
Right.
The same would be true of McDonald's.
Still going for McDonald's,
if
apparently.
McDonald's was sponsoring, say, the Computer Action Show or any Jupiter
They'd be
Broadcasting
reaching a
program,
new geek audience.
I'm just saying that I would be pimping them because they're McDonald's, not because they paid us to do so. I'm not being paid right now.
That's true. But
Come on, McDonald's.
You're still
you know what
doing
you're
it.
doing.
Hey, what do you think should be my... I'm going to go with this is my top story unless you want otherwise.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
All right. Ready when you are, sir.
Can you rename it to that particular company is a retard, and then we'll just do that one.
No.
Oh.
Ready when you are. Ready when you are. Ready when you are.
Hey, Jeremy, been ready. Let's go.
Okay, in 3, 2.
What's new in the news this week?
All right, Brian. Our top story on the news docket for this week.
Yes.
Apple shuts down the Mac OS X ZFS project.
Oh, that makes sense, because it was a really cool file system, so you don't want it on a Mac. What you want is an old file
All
system
right, you
that
can have-
doesn't make a great deal of sense. The only benefit to using the current existing Mac file system
Brian.
is to store resource forks inside
Brian.
inside files, which OS X does not even use anymore.
Brian.
So, way to go, Apple, on those towards the future.
Hey, Brian.
Oh, wait, are we still talking about this?
Yeah.
That's pretty much
So,
all that there is to say on it.
So yeah, there was an open source project that Apple had that was porting ZFS to OS X, and it got shut down recently rather abruptly. People speculate that Apple has made a direct licensing deal with Sun potentially. And then there's also been recently a job posting for Apple for a lead file system engineer. So it's either that lead engineer is going to be responsible for integrating the actual licensed CFS into OS X, or they're creating their own file system from scratch, which
It's
probably
probably going to be awful.
not a great idea.
Nope. It's not going to go well. So way to go, Apple. Future.
The Eighth Doctor says that they're in Snow Leopard once again. Resource forks are back.
Oh,
and being
good.
used.
Good, because we got rid of those a couple of years back because they were a bad idea. So, yay!
All right, let's move on. I just thought interesting
please.
because ZFS is such a hot topic. The question is ZFS right for the desktop? Some might argue that it's not. Right.
See,
for
here's the
desktop.
thing. There's no purpose in having ZFS there, or no purpose in having like HFS plus. Like ZFS, it exists. Make it, bring it over, use it. ext4, it exists. Bring it over, use it. Honestly, friggin' A. Just standardize on something. Hell, use NTFS. I don't care.
Well,
just everyone use the same freaking
all right, let's
file
draw the
system
line there.
and
Let's maybe not use NTFS.
Okay, maybe not. But you get my point. We just use something.
How
How about the BFS? BFS is amazing. Friggin' A, just use that everywhere.
Actually, one of the developers was saying that they believe HFS is now in parity with BFS. So I'm just putting that out there.
Really?
One of the guys said that. Yeah.
Really? Can you have unlimited arbitrary metadata applied to any
Yes,
file?
yeah.
No, you can't.
But it actually does support metadata now.
Yeah, it supports some metadata, but it's not arbitrary and it's a piece of crap.
All right. So let's move on to the next story because somebody has a strong opinion on that one.
Yep, and we'll never lose.
All right. Here we go. This story, particularly interesting to me. We've been following Android development a lot as of late. So Verizon's been pimping, if you're in the States, you've been kind of probably noticing this. Verizon's been pimping something called Droid. Have you heard of Droid?
I've heard of the Droid.
So here is what we kind of have as far as rumors go. Nothing's been officially announced yet. However, some specs and information was accidentally leaked on Motorola's site a little early, and I went and grabbed that. So I've got the details. Also, it sounds like Droid might not be a single phone, but an entire initiative.
Like a phone line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one of the first phones coming out looks pretty sweet.
It does look pretty cool.
It's got a 3.7 touchscreen, 16 by 9 resolution on that. That's 480 by 854. So 16 by 9 videos will play back just right.
16 by 9 phone.
5 megapixel camera with a 4x zoom, which includes autofocus, which is not always included in those camera phones. LED flash.
It's kind of like the N900's phone.
385 minutes of usage, 270 hours of usage, maybe 385 of standby. I think they have those numbers backwards. But 270 hours, I think, of usage and 385 of standby.
Wait, 270?
Hours.
What?
That's what it says. That's what
not
the specs
possible. Wait, no.
I know.
385 minutes of usage,
270
275 hours.
hours of standby.
Holy moly, you freaked me out there for a
I know.
second.
Well, I was freaking me out, too. I was
Well,
like,
you can charge your phone up in about 20 minutes and it will work for 7 months. I'm like, no.
that would be,
no.
that's where we need to get to. Seriously.
This is where we need to get to. But
It's going to come preloaded with a 16
I was
gigabyte.
like, but Chris, what if that was the case? Like that would be the only story on every news site forever. Basically, Motorola invented perpetual power.
I'm not a big fan of numbers, Brian.
Yeah. Fusion at room temperature. It's no biggie. We got to figure it out. You can put it in your pocket and it's safe.
Fusion. All right. So it's going to come with a 16 gigabyte SD card pre-installed. Of course, you could swap that bad mamma jamma out.
Nice.
GPS, Bluetooth built into this sucker, 802.11bg, micro USB slot, which is kind of becoming a charging standard on these phones. It's going to weigh 6 ounces. Pretty nice looking. It's going to have a slide-out keyboard, which looks hot.
Oh, good.
If you're looking at the video version right now, I'm showing you some pictures of its hotness. And a whole series of videos could be very cool. Of course, it's going to be based on the name. It's going to be based off Android. This is going to be Verizon's big touch. And if you're in the States, we kind of have an interest in following Verizon because they generally have really great coverage everywhere. But they haven't offered a Android phone yet. And this has been one of the number one questions I've gotten is, Chris, have you heard any word on availability of a Verizon Android phone? Because I seriously that might be my go-to phone. I love the Verizon network. It's a little expensive, but great coverage.
Yeah,
And
good data.
And of course, because it's going to have Android, it means it's going to have a nice WebKit browser, and it's going to have all of the things like the Android Marketplace. Which
Can I use Google Wave on it?
It's going to have all the Google Maps and Gmail and Talk and.
I don't see Google Wave support there.
No, I think it does work though, so that's good. Yeah.
Oh,
You're
I
welcome.
was being
It's going to
silly.
have haptic feedback. Means when you press buttons, you're going to get a slight vibration as you type. So you'll like that. And it's going to have
Nice.
a virtual on-screen keyboard as well as a physical keyboard.
Well, that's just Android has that.
And it's a very slick-looking device, so I'm excited
That's
to see
awesome.
that. All right, Brian.
It looks like a good phone.
The next story on the news docket for this week. Mozilla announces Raindrop. Have you heard of this?
I have.
So what is Raindrop? I'll tell you.
I don't really know.
It's like Google Wave. No.
It kind of looks like Google Wave.
No.
That's why I stayed away from it. So what the heck is this?
What it is it's actually, it's funny. I'm looking at a Mashable article and they say it's like Google Wave, but I would say
It's described as an exploration in messaging innovation,
Ugh.
which immediately makes me want to never,
I know.
ever use it.
I know. I honestly, me too.
Well, I was going to make this new project called Supo Awesome, and basically it's diving in towards synergy and
And a
creating a
metadata
collaborative
extraction
suite
organizer.
of metadata investigation services.
That-
So I was
that's
just going to
exactly-
do something like that.
I hate that. I hate that. I
You know what,
hate that
that's not
Mozilla's doing this.
You know, it's not even marketing speak. It's just like they let one guy who saw the product for 30 seconds come up with something
Yeah.
that meant nothing but could technically be applied.
So you
to
want
it.
Chris to tell you what it is? What he's gathered?
I don't know if I do or not. I kind of want to just hate it,
I agree,
regardless
dude.
of what it is.
Totally agree.
Should we just let our users
No.
just hate it?
Because it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. It's
All
actually the
right.
anti-Google Wave in the sense
I'm
that
ready.
it's designed to, for my following. After literally way too much time reading through all of the marketing BS crap that we just complained about to get to this. But essentially what you do is you point it at all of your different, like your email accounts, your Twitter account, your Facebook, all your different stuff.
Yeah.
And it goes in there and pulls all of the relevant stuff based on weighted ranking and stuff like that into one spot.
Based
so
on weighted ranking.
well, so here's their quick spiel. So like if you say you get 30 emails in a day,
Okay.
right? Back in the
30
Dizzle,
emails.
in the Dizzle, you got like 2-3 emails a day when email was kind of new and not many people were on it.
Really?
Now you get like one from a family member and you get 2 ads, right? You get 2 things about traveling to Florida or
Dude,
whatever.
could you imagine how great it would be to only get 30 emails in a day?
It'd be usable, is what it would be.
It would be usable.
And I think that's where
I
I'm
think I
hoping.
get like 7,000 emails every day.
I'm hoping that's where Raindrop comes in, because what it does is based on your different contacts and your different networks, it can assign people a ranking, but you can also manually tweak this. It'll connect into like your email, and it'll put, hey, you have a new email from mom above an email that says, would you like to travel to Florida on a super great deal? So, and then it can say,
But what
mom,
if I want to go to Florida more than I want to hang out with my mom?
well, then you adjust the ranking, right? So,
I'm just going to tell you straight up. This sounds dumb. I want to
All
go.
right.
I want to go to Florida.
so Jenna Jameson sends you an email saying,
I've
Brian,
seen my
I love
mom-
you.
Okay, so that goes at the top.
Exactly. Below the email from your mom, right?
Well, no,
So-
no. Above the email from my mom.
Right. Below that is the email from your mom. So
Below that is Florida.
So it goes.
I want to be in Florida with Jenna Jameson. Right.
It goes Jenna Jameson, and then it says, no, here's how it works, okay? Email.
Okay, ready.
All right. So Jenna Jameson Twittered you,
Yeah.
said, at Brian Lunduke, I want to love you so hard, right? Then
Right,
you got an
right.
email from Florida. and-
Okay. So it's Wednesday. Okay, got it.
Okay, so Jenna Jameson sent you that on Twitter, right? But you haven't been to Twitter today. And then in your
That's true.
email, you got a message from the travel agency saying, we'll give you a free flight to Florida. And
Yeah.
then you also got a post from your mom on Facebook saying, Brian, you should come over for dinner. You never visit anymore, right?
Okay.
Okay. So what Raindrop is going to do is it's going to know that a message from Twitter from Jen Jameson is important. So you'll go to your Raindrop inbox and it will thread things based on where they all.
So-
it will
so wait,
consolidate
so-
everything into one spot
So it consolidates all the feeds. It's like it's an RSS reader
for these
for
these messaging
for
systems.
instant messaging and
Right,
whatnot.
right.
And it has like a spam filter in it that I can
Right.
vote things up or down.
And
right? I'm
based on
assuming.
correspondence with other people, like with people it knows like who you are who
What,
you
what
like.
do you mean correspondence with? other
Like
people?
if you email Jenna Jameson or Twitter Jenna Jameson a lot, it knows that that's someone you're going to frequently talk to, so it knows to rank that above like an email from me, which you never reply to.
So what platforms does this run on?
Right now they've talked about I think it's going to be a web-based deal you can either run on your own system or there might even be a hosted one eventually. But
Okay, so
you
so
can
it's a
throw it up
website.
on your own Apache system. You can throw it up on your own Apache box.
Okay.
And it's going to have a web interface, is my understanding. And it's going to connect in with right now. It's going to use like all the different APIs for like Twitter and Facebook and IM, and it's can probably use POP3 or something to get into an email account.
Okay.
And I think this is kind of like maybe eventually their replacement for for Thunderbird. Instead of making Thunderbird like a great email client, eventually I think they're going to go this direction and just say we're going to consolidate everything into one spot.
Wait. So instead of take a product that was once good and fix it up so it's still good, they're going to scrap it?
No, I'm not saying that's what it
cool.
is, but I think maybe that's eventually they just like, well, I think they just think traditional email is probably done with, I don't know, but now come on, you kind of like the idea of, I mean, people like us who get...
I like the idea of Jenna Jameson emailing me, but I got to be honest, the rest of this sounds like a big pile of crap.
Really? I mean, isn't one of the problems we get so much email that like sometimes we missed getting back to people just because it gets buried? And
Do you really want the Mozilla project people deciding what you see or don't see?
No, I decide.
How do you decide? Did you go through it all?
By supplying information into Raindrop.
It's keyword filtered, so how do you know? How do you know you're seeing everything?
Check out this screenshot I've got here. This is kind of the web
looks
interface.
like Twitter.
It threads.
It looks exactly like Twitter.
It does kind of look like Twitter, and it's got it's your Twitter messages, it's your Facebook, it's your email all in one spot. So unlike Google Wave, where everything's new in Google Wave, this goes out to all the different services and pulls it all together.
So it's kind of like a service that sends everything to Twitter, like a bunch of the proxy services.
No,
out there.
It pulls from Twitter.
But I mean essentially that's what it is. I mean it's essentially you have your own little Twitter. So you have your own Identica server that all your stuff feeds into.
Right, exactly. So instead of the morning you checking 3 email accounts, your Twitter, your Facebook, all this different stuff.
When does it reset? Like, so if Jenna Jameson's at the top, when does she move off the top?
I don't know.
I don't ever want Jenna Jameson moving off the top. If Jenna Jameson emails me and says, I love you, Brian, that stays at the top for my entire life. That's just where it stays.
I have not used it yet, but...
I don't know. This just seems like a horrible idea.
You think so?
Yeah.
Why?
What again?
Why not bring everything into one spot?
Why?
Because I'm sick of checking 100 places to get communication from people.
But I mean, like, okay, instant messaging is one thing. If you want to have a client that ties together your instant messaging services into one spot, I get that. That's convenient. Like using like Pigeon, right? Or Empathy, or one of these other clients, or Digsby on Windows, or whatever, for all of your different messaging services. That makes sense. Using something like what's the big Twitter client that everyone uses? TweetDeck.
TweetDeck.
So use like TweetDeck, which you can also pull in stuff from like Facebook and whatnot.
Here's a good screenshot.
Okay, great. So you got all of that. That makes sense because those are like services. Those are things like social networking and quick little 140 character, I just took a poopy outside posts, right? That's great. But so you're going to take all of that and combine it in with your work and personal email, put it together in one thing. The rules.
Well, you could have filters.
Are the rules different for each of the accounts that are coming in? Because if not, the rules for my social accounts are going to be different than my work accounts.
What you can do is, for one, you can group. So you could say these are my work accounts, these are my personal accounts, and you could say only show work ones, or show all at once.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, I think when there's so many different ways for people to get in touch with us now that I think this is a great way to kind of bring it all together.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No?
Yeah, it looks like poop.
And the other nice thing is I'm thinking we're going to be able to, they're going to have a version we could throw up on our own Apache server, which I really like too.
So how many people have their own Apache server going?
Well, I think there's going to be a version you can run from the Mozilla project, and there's going to be for guys like us who want to run our own stuff.
So this is what I'm saying. Most people are going to get it and run it from Mozilla or Raindrop.com or something like that.
Right.
So that means that Raindrop.com is going to know what's important to you and all of the email that you've got.
But not to you, because you'll run it on your own. Wow. Well, Raindrop.com, they really shouldn't have.
I'll be damned.
That's great.
Is that in the stream right now?
I hope so.
I hope so too. So apparently Raindrop.com is a hot models bikini fashion glamour photo website.
Squat site. At least they have that URL in all of their publications.
Seriously,
all of their
it's
public
everywhere.
Images.
This is the problem I have, is the Mozilla Foundation never thinks forward. They do not. It's like with Thunderbird. How that thing has been sitting stagnant for like 35 years.
No, they're working on version 3.
They're working on version 3. They needed to have version 3 out like 5 years ago.
Yeah. And it doesn't really do too much new stuff. Better Gmail support.
I just don't care. At this point, what Mozilla does, I just don't care about. It's like WebKit. It's a better rendering framework.
Yeah.
Web browsers on every platform are moving away from Firefox, are moving away from Internet Explorer, I feel. And it just, I mean, like, what benefit do I get by running anything from the Mozilla Foundation anymore?
Well, Firefox has still got some strengths as a browser.
I don't know.
All right. Okay.
I don't know.
All right, next story on the news docket this week. Ryan Gordon, who I believe works for Novell, says, let's bring universal binaries to Linux. You know, the universal binaries, would be, you're going to get a lot of heat for that Thunderbird comment. You're already getting in the chat room. Universal universal binaries.
Dude, it sucks lately. All right, continue.
Universal binaries. I know. You know what? I agree. I loaded the beta.
I love Thunderbird too. That's the problem that
you and I,
drives me crazy.
huge Thunderbird guys.
And I want to be clear about this. So even when I was a Mac guy, this was years ago, I had Apple's Mail.app. I had so much email coming into it that I killed Mail.app. It totally horked itself. I brought in Thunderbird, was able to bring in
same.
all of my screwed up Apple Mbox formats.
The Thunderbird used to be
saved my hide.
Yeah.
I was able in Thunderbird to have 20, 30, 100 and more 1,000 messages and search through them like lightning fast. And it works so stable and so great. With every release, it's gotten buggier. It's gotten slower. It's gotten crazier.
We've also gotten more
without
email.
having even with just having like 1 or 2 email accounts on it. So
I just use Gmail now. I just filtered all through Gmail.
yeah, I do a lot lately too,
All
which makes me sad.
All right, so the next story on the news docket is universal binaries on Linux. So the concept comes from a lot of different operating systems. OS X currently implements a version where they can ship one binary that has inside that package container is the PowerPC code and the x86 Intel code. And so Ryan Gordon says, why not do this for Linux? That way you could ship one install CD that would be like the 64-bit version and the 32. That way you didn't have to download different ISOs, etc.
Okay.
So he's announced the FAT ELF, so FAT ELF project, which he says is going to be a file format which would be possible to make universal installation DVDs that would automatically handle both x86 and x64 or PowerPC, MIPS, other systems. Support for shipping a single shared library, support for kernel drivers, targeting different architectures in a single file, and there's a whole range of other possibilities using FAT ELF. I like the idea of that. I do, because I move around a lot between 32-bit and 64-bit.
Yep.
And so he's put up a project page, and I'll link to that in the show notes. It's an interesting concept. I don't know. We'll see if it takes off. It's licensed under the GPL version 2 right now, and he's made a version, a fully functional demo version for Ubuntu 9.04. So maybe he's not at the Novell company. I thought he was, but interesting enough.
Honestly, yeah. I can't see a lot of people using this, but for the people who do, this would be very handy.
Would you consider using it for something you want to ship? If you want to release one binary or a file that would work on either 32-bit or 64-bit distros?
Yeah. Actually, no.
No?
Now that I'm thinking about it, this isn't actually going to work.
Why is that?
Okay, so here's a problem we've got. That means we'd still have to have separate packages. So because the libraries that you're going to be soft linking against are going to be for different architectures.
Well, he says you can use you no longer need to have separate libraries. You can have one FAT ELF library for both.
Well, that's for the
64.
distro as a whole.
So the distro as a whole would have to have support for
So
it.
that means that if I was shipping, yeah, exactly, the distro as a whole would have to have support for it. Otherwise, whatever I'm shipping, I'm still going to have to use separate packages for all the architectures to make sure that the requirements are met.
It says FAT ELF will let you pack binaries into one file separated by an OS ABI version, or you can do byte order, word size, and most importantly, CPU architecture.
Yep.
He says he has it working for GNU Linux, but he plans to also be able to have it working for BSD and Solaris.
Well, that's great. I love the idea. I just think that all the different distros would have to jump on board to make it worthwhile.
Right.
It takes up so much extra space to have all those that like Fedora has been complaining about how big like a 300K file is lately. So if they're complaining about that,
they got to get on board with the whole DVD thing.
But there's just no way that they're going to ship. They're going to ship something like that. So I don't know. I'm a little. Yeah,
right.
I'm not certain, but I really like the idea, and I like that someone's working on it.
All right. Well, the next story on the news docket, speaking of the Fedora 12 hits the beta stage.
Yep.
Lots of stuff in this beta.
A lot of stuff in this beta.
I threw it up on my blog earlier, but here's kind of a few highlights. Is they're still really working on the Fedora updater to make it fast, and they're getting great with the Delta RPM. So you only download the differential update. You don't download the whole package.
Which is great. I like that.
Yep. So Delta RPMs are definitely cool. A new version of Network Manager, which includes things for like improvements for WaveLAN cards for cellular networks.
Yeah.
And also they've integrated now with Policy Kit, so you can control different aspects of Network Manager using the backend Policy Kit, which a bunch of other things on the desktop also use. So now you're getting more and more centralized control of your different system options and things like that.
Yes, sir.
They
New OGG video
Yeah,
codec, which no one uses.
no one
but
uses.
It's still
and
cool.
and the Fedora, so Fedora 12 includes Fedora 1.1, which achieves near H.264 in quality.
So not as good as H.264, which means no one will use it.
And the singular big test that said it was near H.264 was actually then later proven to be invalid. Additionally, Fedora 1.1 is not a official standard, so there's no actual shipping devices out there with Fedora 1.1. There's also several offshoots of it. I'm not really big on Fedora 1.1. It's going to need to be standardized. It's going to
Yeah.
need to settle down. Near H.264 is good. Ideally, we'd be at H.264 quality because this is 2009, and it is the generation of H.264 right now. I mean, everything is shipping with H.264.
Everything.
The high-definition 720p video conferencing system I just mentioned at the top of the show uses H.264 on the back end.
And if you want to buy those super badass like little Arcos personal video players, H.264. OGG? Nope.
No.
Nope.
But it's in there. So if you want to use it, that's good. I mean,
Yeah, you
it
can
is-
tinker with
yeah.
it. It's great if you want to send videos to other people who are running that specific version of Fedora.
If you're an ATI user, specifically the ATI HD 2400 generation cards, they've got some great experimental 3D support using an open source driver in this one. So that's something for ATI users to check out. It's also this is a very strong point of Fedora. Fedora 12 continues this, and that's their virtualization improvement. Not content with the improvements in Fedora 11, they've kicked off the virtualization based on KVM another notch. It's up another notch.
I like
KVM
notches.
support is here. They've got extensive improvements in performance,
Whoa.
management, resource sharing,
Nice.
and security enhancements.
I do like that. That's good.
A new library has been introduced called libguestfs, and a tool called guestfish. So what this lets you do is you can overlay
Guest fish.
the host or the virtual system's file system using the user space driver
that's
for
cool.
file systems.
That's
and you
actually
can
very cool.
Yeah, you can browse.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so lots of new nice improvements.
Nice.
They're shipping with this one the mobile and graphical interface, the little mobile and projects.
Right,
UI.
they're not shipping with it, but they're making it so that it's
Right.
you can install it from the repo.
Yeah, it's
easily.
not in the CD.
But that's still very, very cool.
I think they're going to make a live CD version of
Yes,
the mobile.
there's going to be a
version,
remix available of it,
Yeah.
which is cool. I dig that.
Check out this. So they're introducing hybrid live images. The live image provided in this release can be directly imaged onto a USB stick using DD or any equivalent tool, and then made bootable. The Fedora Live USB Creator for Windows and the Live CD tools for Fedora are recommended for persistent data. But if you just want to take their image
Yeah.
and DD it, you can now take the live CD image and just send it directly to a USB stick. No special work needed. Very cool, especially for netbooks where they don't have CD-ROM drives.
Yeah, I mean they've got those tools for Canonical has one for Ubuntu and all right, but I do like to see that.
Well, I think the nice thing, what I think, like you can't just take the Ubuntu Live ISO and write it directly to a USB stick. I don't think.
It's a separate image, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See? Not so.
Oh, there we go.
Right.
Alrighty.
A little fancier.
Fancy.
Anyways, a bunch of other stuff. I put it all up over on my blog, and I'll link to it in the show notes. It's definitely looking like a very solid release.
Yeah,
of
and
Fedora.
after
we'll have a review
After we
coming
finish up openSUSE 11.2 and everything else, we'll dive into
Yep.
the Fedora world.
Right. All right. So I thought I'd give a quick mention to our buddies over at the Mandriva project. Mandriva 2010 is going to be shipping the full mobile and UI, as well as a bunch of other stuff. So RC2 has hit the release stage, and they're including some fanciness that I think people are probably definitely going to want to check out.
Yeah.
KDE 4.3.2 is going to be included. The full mobile and UI is going to be included, as well as Mandriva's thrown in a bunch of other really nice stuff. Improvements to Pulse Audio all around the board here. New version of the kernel, new version of the desktops. And it's just, again, going to look like a great release. And Mandriva is going the route of including VirtualBox with Mandriva instead of going so much focusing on their own virtualization improvements. They're gonna ship VirtualBox 3.08, which supports multiple processors inside the virtual machine, which is a big one
Nice.
for that, and better OpenGL support.
Dig it.
So Sorry, I'm getting direct message in the chat room. So the next story on the news docket.
Ignore the chat room, man.
Well,
Focus on the show.
It flashes.
Focus on the show.
If I know, I wish
know.
people wouldn't direct message me. during the show.
You guys, shiny objects distract
It
the
does.
Chris.
That's what it is.
It's what it is. You
Yeah.
guys can't send anything that might be shiny or flashy to Chris. It freaks him out.
I just get distracted. My
does.
brain it does not have the capacity. If something's flashing at me, I have to look at it.
He loves pretty things.
That's true. All right, so the next story on the news docket for this week. The White House switches to Drupal for their website.
Okay.
Big one, right? That's big for the
a big
Drupal
one.
project.
I'm sure the
These
Drupal guys are pumped.
Yeah, so the White House has been in planning this for months, and they have made the switch from a proprietary content management system that was put in place at the beginning of the Bush administration over to Drupal. And it's a clear sign that the government realizes that open source does not pose additional risk, says, I can't actually pronounce that guy's name.
Says
a guy who's involved with the Drupal project. Sorry, Dries Boyentart.
Guy on the street says.
Could you pronounce that name? Dries Boyentart. You see it? It's the hardest name ever in the entire world.
Dries, by tart.
So,
By tart.
big win for the Drupal project.
Yeah, huge
very
win.
very exciting for them. And there's already
Man,
been,
it really feels like the Drupal project has a lot of reason to hope now. You know?
right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian.
You know, for change and for the future and stuff.
But if you're out there and you're trying to sell Drupal, because I know we've got a few people in our audience that are big Drupal people, you really can't go when people say, "So who else uses Drupal?" You could say, "Well, the shop down the street that is a 5-person shop, they run Drupal. Oh, and the White House."
Yeah. How about our government?
Your president of the United States runs Drupal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He sure as heck does.
All right, Brian. The next story on the news docket.
Man, the Joomla guy's got to be pissed.
The
That's all I gotta say
Nokia
about that.
N900 has been delayed
Not that
until
long.
November sometime.
No, well, honestly, though, the November, 11th or whatever is the date that's still sitting around.
Yes.
Most places, like Newegg and whatnot, have had that date forever
while.
anyway.
Right.
So this isn't really huge news.
But-
It just wasn't official until a few days ago.
And here's the good news, though. You ready for the good news?
Ready.
The good news is it looks like it's official that the Nokia N900 in the States will be able to run on the T-Mobile network,
Which is great.
which is awesome because we weren't even sure if it was going to be able to run on some of our frequencies here. It looks like the price is still going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $650 to $700.
Yeah, that's where it's sitting on Newegg right now.
Right, and I think it's also the equivalent in euros for people across the pond.
Yeah, so it's probably like 8 million euros. I don't know what the ratio is. It's 2 euros. It's 2 euros.
2 euros.
Jeremy just did the conversion in his head real fast.
Wow, we are in bad shape if that's the case. I'm looking at it again. We do a video version of the show here, and I'm looking
Yeah.
at the Nokia N900, and that is just a
Gosh.
gorgeous looking device. I want to put my hands and my face and
You know-
mouth
you know
all
what
over this
You know what
thing.
bothers me about the Nokia N900?
How beautiful it is.
I don't think there's anything I dislike about it. That's what bugs me about it. Like, there's nothing I dislike. I mean,
that's
yeah,
kind of your
price.
strong suite.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't like the price. There you go. You can complain about that.
I guess. I want it to be a little cheaper. But I want one anyway.
Yeah. See?
So
Good job,
So
buddy.
there we go. That's all I got.
That
to say.
got Brian all up in arms.
I'm up in arms. Hubbub.
So a little longer for the N900, but hopefully it's going to be worth the wait, and I really hope we can get
Jeez,
a
I'm
review
excited
unit
about
on
that
here.
guy.
All right, Brian. Well, that's all the news this week.
Man, that was amazing.
Thank you, sir.
That was amazing.
Thank you, sir.
We just did the news, y'all.
All right, so we're going to do a openSUSE 11.2 review and a Windows 7 review.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming up. Whole lot. Which one we want to do first? Let's do Win 7 first.
Win 7.
I mean, the Win 7 one's going to be a bigger because it's the full review. Man, it is cold. I wanna. Do.
It's got like a mirrored video image without the keyed out version. And it's like I can't get it out.
And it's all like cropped in. And
Yeah, well, 'cause it's that respect aspect ratio thing that it does by default. But it's like a default video that I can't get out of there. Yeah. For the lose.
For
At least
the
we paid a
lose.
ton of money for the software.
Faster than light.
Huh?
The headset's still frozen on your face
From like an hour ago.
an hour ago. Yeah.
All right, so we'll do Windows 7. What do you say? You want to do Windows
I love
7?
that idea.
All right, Jay Randall. I'm going to switch to my main desktop here. Can you see my display? The one that was doing my news before, not the openSUSE one. Now, how much of my desktop do you see?
The mountain on the left.
Yeah.
It's like just barely above that mountain on the left.
Okay.
And
So you can't see like my start menu and stuff.
okay, I can see a little bit of your stuff.
He can see the black part.
The first letter of downloads is cut off.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because it's pretty wide.
So you can see that window.
I can see the top of that window, and now I can see the whole thing.
Okay, there you go.
Is it taking a long time to show up over there?
It's pretty fast.
Yeah,
running-
it looks quick.
It's running slow here. Because, Desktop Presenter is capturing the whole screen now.
Yeah.
But I think that puts all the CPU load on my end. All right. I'm going to get a couple of things ready so that way, in case this machine starts to freak the F out.
Now that's on the full screen. Actually, when it's cropped to, did something weird. Yeah, that's broken.
What's going on?
I don't know. Sometimes the split screen, the desktop presenter just resizes itself.
Yeah, desktop presenter is crazy.
I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. I'm so sick of fighting technology to be able to make these shows. It's just ridiculous. If I did this full time, I'd have time to sit out here and fight around with it and make sure it's working. But I just don't. I don't have time to do it. We just need to be able to come out and have it work.
I know.
How do you spell rely? Huh?
Or are you just going to deal with that?
I just want to put stuff. Somebody just spell reliability for me.
REL. Ability.
It's not working.
Well, this is great for a Windows 7 review.
Huh?
Performance monitor.
That's not
Resource
what I'm looking
monitor.
for. There we go. They changed it to view reliability history. Okay. Okay. Can you see these three Can you see this Can you see that window
Yes,
in its entirety?
entirely.
Can you see this window in its entirety?
Bring it over to the right, like half an inch.
To the right.
Other right.
That was
Stop.
Right there?
I can't see the bottom.
a little more. A little more.
That's fine. I mean,
That's fine.
okay. And can you see what's it called? That. Apparently the thing with the control panel icon.
Pull it up so that it's
Yeah, just
stop.
there you go.
Yeah? Okay. All right. Let's begin. And I'll just when I start referring to it, if you want to just switch. All right?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So let's begin whenever you are ready.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right.
3, 2.
So Windows 7, it's out.
Yeah, it came out this week
It's available for
officially.
for purchase.
Most people who probably already have it in our audience who are going to get already have it.
We're running the release candidate and the beta before it. A lot of people have like MSDN licenses, so they already have the full final version.
Right.
They have for a little bit. But for the mass public, they're getting it right now. And there's
Yeah.
a million reviews out there. I mean, just a ridiculous number of reviews. Most of them are glowingly positive. If you read the
Yeah.
news sites,
No, they're mostly
people are
positive.
just like, oh my gosh, best version of Windows ever. So we thought it would be apropos to
Sure,
do
why not,
a
right?
review
Yeah.
from the Jupiter Broadcasting guys, the guys who have been reviewing Ubuntu, the guys who have been reviewing Fedora and Haiku, and
Or
all
we're
these
about
other
to review
systems.
openSUSE.
Right, later this episode. So let's come at this from the point of view
Okay.
of us. I think this is worthwhile.
Sure. All right. So in what has become sort of a tradition here in the studio, we're running the operating system on the studio computer that we use here at the desk. We're running the operating system when we are reviewing this episode.
And I just want to go a step further. I'm also running it on my netbook.
Oh, look at you.
So I've
Boy, that netbook runs more operating
it
systems.
runs everything perfectly. The HP Mini 1000 is pimp. Really, we could just do another review of the HP Mini 1000 now, and I would just be more thrilled with it than before.
I mean, I think literally this season alone, you have had like 9 different distros on there. You've had OS 10 on there. Now
Yep.
you have Windows 7 on there.
I had Haiku kind of on here.
Yeah, and I had IQ on this machine.
Yep.
And so now it's running Windows 7.
Yep.
And
I also put Windows 7 on my Triple-E over here. Didn't run so great.
No, no.
it kind of, I can fit it on there, but its performance is not stellar. But the Triple-E only has, this is the first Triple-E with kind of the lower end Celeron processor.
Sure.
Definitely a little pokey. But the Atom processor in this HP
Doing
Mini,
okay, huh?
Yeah, it works just fine.
So how do you want to tackle this?
Well, let's just start at the beginning. Let's do this like we would do any other
All right.
distro review.
So
installer.
The installer is in Windows 7. It's probably about as simple as a Windows
It's like
installation you've ever
Vistas.
seen. It's you click, you accept, next. You do your drive partitioning, then you click next,
And then
it's done.
you click your drive, you want your drive, and then it finishes for you. It's a little faster of an install process than Vista's. They just made it a little faster.
Honestly, I would sum it up as pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and not really much to talk about.
Yeah, honestly, I think all of the major operating systems out there, their installers are getting easier.
Yeah.
Like Haiku's installer, if you watch the Haiku episode, had this great installer where basically you're just like, I want it on this drive. And it goes, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And it's done.
Yeah.
Windows 7, same deal. There's nothing I can complain about it with that. It looks good. It works just fine. No problems.
Yeah. It's scriptable, so you can make it fully automated if you chose to do
you
so.
You can do just fine
And
there.
one interesting tidbit for people that don't know, but I think probably most of you do, is there's actually an image installer. So on the DVD, it's actually decompressing images of the Windows 7 installation. And the reason that's relevant is starting in Vista, but now kind of completed in Windows 7, is the system is very image-oriented. You can take images of the system while it's up and running. If you have one of the more premium versions of Windows 7, like Ultimate or Enterprise, you can actually use their built-in imaging software to image the machine while it's going.
That's very nice.
Save it on the network, and it can do incremental images where it'll just add the changed bits to the image, and then you can restore that image back to your machine.
Very cool.
Which is nice
Very
for
nice.
backup purposes and whatnot.
Yeah, no, that's actually very, very cool. I've been enjoying it quite a lot.
And what you could do is, if you had to do a restore, you can boot off of the Windows 7 installation DVD. Now, this is a weak point because in order to restore from these image backups, you have to boot off of a Windows 7 DVD that is the same edition that you're restoring, and it cannot be an OEM DVD. It has to be a commercial copy or like an eOpen license
Wait,
copy.
an OEM DVD won't work?
An OEM DVD will not work.
I didn't know that.
Discovered that the very hard way.
Really?
Very hard. So here's what happened to me. I had a client. This happened in Vista, but the same thing applies to 7. Client was backing up their system nightly using an imaging system. Booted off the Vista Ultimate DVD that came with his machine from HP, and I got an error message that said OEM DVDs cannot be used to restore the image.
No.
So I did a little Googling, and apparently OEM DVDs are not allowed because they can't verify that you're not restoring the image on a non-OEM licensed system, so they enable the restriction. So though if you have to use a commercial copy of the DVD, then they at least know you purchased a version that's licensed to run on mini machines. Because, the whole limitation with OEM systems or OEM installs is it's only licensed for that machine. That's why it's cheaper.
That's kind of weak, though.
It's weak sauce, big time.
I'm not
because
cool
I
with
didn't. I had that was the only installation disc I had.
So in order to fix it, you've got to go buy a retail copy of it that is the same edition.
Or a pirate.
Yeah, but I mean, if you want to do it legally, and you want to do it legally, I mean, that's
or you
sucks.
don't use the built-in tools, which a lot of times in Windows, the built-in tools get you so far, and
or
then
you end up
like
having to
Acronis.
completely disregard the version of Windows that comes shipped on your computer, and you have to buy a new one and install it that way anyway.
That's why you gotta. That's why a lot of times is the built-in tools you only trust so far, and then you have to go with something like CloneZilla or Acronis to really be able to be comfortable with the restoration process.
Now, I should probably preface all of this. I did work for Microsoft for quite a few years. It's been many years since I have, but because of that, I'm part of an alumni program, which means I get to go buy these these operating systems for like $35.
Yeah.
So my review might be tempered a little bit more positive because I got it super cheap.
Oh, because you didn't have to drop $400.
Because I didn't have to go drop like $1 billion on it.
Right.
And I just want to
be though.
I want to be clear about that right up front.
I got it through my company. I think a lot of people either get it through their schools or through
when they buy a new
I
computer.
asked people in
anyway.
our audience because it was Windows 7 has skyrocketed up our web stats. It
has.
There's more people using Windows 7 than there are Fedora, openSUSE, or Ubuntu Hardy. And I said, why do all these people have Windows 7? What's going on here? And then I got all these replies back. Well, I got it through my school. Oh, I got it through this, that. So a lot of people are getting it through these alternative means. So not a lot of people pay that $400 price tag for the Ultimate because they either get it with their machine or they get it through one of these cheaper.
But you know what's weird? I don't hear a lot of people in our audience complaining about it.
No.
Like people are like, oh, I like it. Like when we announced that
Yeah.
we're going to be reviewing this, or I did I did kind of a comparison blog post where I compared Ubuntu and OS 10 and Windows 7, and sure, a lot of people came in from one camp or another, all pissed off at whatever the results were. Which, by the way, I liked Ubuntu a little bit more. But really, even the people who are diehard Linux type of guys came into the forum and
Not so bad.
and they were like, hey, yeah, actually, I like Windows 7. That's
Yeah,
pretty
it's
good.
not so bad.
Hey, I'm glad Windows 7
if
exists.
you're going to
I'm
run
like,
Windows,
wow.
if you're going to run Windows, I think it's now at the point where there's not another version you should run. You definitely
this is
shouldn't
it.
be running Vista.
Yeah.
XP is getting too long in the tooth. If you're running Windows, this is your version. It's got a few things I want to talk about that were introduced in Vista, but I throw it out because Vista is like Windows ME.
Yeah.
I don't care
Let's
if
just
Vista already
disregard
can.
it.
If I'm about to talk about something, I don't care if Vista could already do it. Vista is balls, and so therefore is irrelevant and not used.
It wasn't balls. I just didn't like it at all.
No, Vista was total balls. It was total balls.
Oh, come on. XP was not exactly wonderful.
Vista
here.
was hairy, dirty balls.
I'm just going to say this. I'm not a guy who loves my Vista, but you go from XP to Vista, it still was a pretty substantial upgrade.
It was as far as UI goes, but as far as performance goes, it is dreadful.
Yeah, but except for after you run it for a few days. Because as soon as you run XP for a few days, it slows down to a crawl.
Yeah, but okay, see.
Vista handled itself a little better,
I've worked on
right?
systems that have had an XP install for a year, and I've worked on systems that had a Vista install, and the Vista install
here we
degrades
go.
a lot faster than XP does.
Anecdotal evidence, fantastic. No, that sounds great, Chris. Way
Real
to
world.
back it up.
See, you might call it anecdotal. Other people might say something I've experienced in the real world.
No. The general gist and takeaway is Windows slows down over time regardless of
Oh,
the
for
version.
sure, yeah.
That's just how it works.
But
I
here's
have
another
had
example.
Okay,
we had a
results with
machine.
Vista.
We had a machine here in the studio, and we had Windows-only
yeah.
encoding software.
That's true.
Wasn't even able to do it under Vista. Under XP, it would work. It's just
That's
then the
true.
software would crash.
That's very, very true.
But moving on from that, there's
But yeah, let's focus on 7, not on Vista.
here's a few things there, and I can't show you this on the live stream, but in Windows 7, there's a very nice UI navigation element called the super bar.
Yes.
And when you mouse over things, you get nice little previews of the window, and they're live real time, so video and things like that work. And you can switch between your tasks, and they also have something called Peek, where you can hover over all of the windows that are open on your screen. Actually, I can show that, Jeremy, if you want to bring up the... All right, so we got a little bit. So if you're watching the live stream, I've got a bunch of windows open right now, and I can hover over an area and make them all disappear. And I don't know if that comes through okay, but that makes it nice for finding specific windows. There's also some nice little things where you can shake a window and and everything else goes away. So now that's the only window on my screen.
Yeah, or you drag the window to the top of the screen, boom, it goes full screen.
Right. Now, okay, as far as some nice programs go that I would love my face off to see show up on other operating systems, and this is a weird one, but it's the Performance and Reliability Monitor, which has just been renamed to Reliability Monitor in 7. What this does is this literally gives you a calendar grid of dates of significant events that have happened on your system, updates, software installs, crashes, and things like that. So it takes this calendar grid, overlays these events in little icons. So like bad events have a little X on them. Good events have little informational things. So on here, earlier today before we started the show, Skype crashed.
Yeah.
I now have a calendar grid where I can see when did Skype crash. And what I can do is correlate that to another event on my system. So I can say, oh, well, I see on the 21st, Camtasia also crashed. And when that happened, there was a video card driver update installed by Windows Update the night before. So I can correlate, all right, that video card driver installation is probably what caused Camtasia to crash.
That's so cool.
I can go roll back that driver update.
Really cool.
I can roll it back. That's very cool to be able to roll
incredibly
back.
cool.
So now, and then I can go run Camtasia again and see if I have the same problem. So I'm able to very, very quickly, without taking a lot of my time, drill right into the cause of a particular problem. That, all it's doing is parsing the log system, throwing the events up on the date and time.
And you put a nice little UI on it
All
so we
of
can
that
see
data
it.
it's there.
It's already there.
And all Linux systems have that data in their var log directory.
We just need a good UI for the other
That's all
things
it
for
is.
But this is really, really nice. This is very, very handy.
It makes it very cool. And
Now,
I've
that said,
actually
I
used
don't know that mom and pop is ever going to use that.
No.
But for people who have to support a lot of systems
But when
or
mom and pop
power
are,
users,
exactly, and when mom and pop are having a problem,
handy as hell.
It's a lot nicer for me to be able to go in there and plug that in there. Now, mom and pop
Handy.
don't run Windows, but clients do, and I've actually used that. I had a client that had a particular problem, and I was able to use that to track back a Windows Defender update that broke his Outlook installation.
Right.
Go figure.
Crazy.
There's and I'm not sure how much people really care about this stuff, but there's other really nice monitoring tools, and I'm drawing a blank on their name because I just haven't used them enough yet. But there's the standard performance monitor, PerfMon, which is shipped with Windows since like Windows NT3.
It's been around forever. Yeah.
Then there's also a newer tool that was introduced again. I know in Vista, but I can't remember the name.
I can't remember what it's called.
But it gives you a very real-time chart and graphs of your disk throughput, your network throughput, your CPU, all this different stuff, in a much nicer interface than PerfMon does.
Or than the Task Manager does it, right?
Or than Task Manager does it.
Right.
And I just don't recall what that program was called. But that's another great way where where Linux distros and OS X has Activity Monitor. It kind of is like in between what was available in Linux utilities and it's Activity Monitor in OS X is kind of like in the middle.
Yeah.
I'd say, under Linux you've got Top and you've got the different like GNOME monitor and the KDE System Resource Monitor, but none of them are really pulling in all of the data in a really nice way like this one application is in Windows 7.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that introduced too, because again, all metrics that are available in the operating system is just this is a tool that sits on top of it.
Right.
All right, so I've talked a lot, Brian. What do you think?
So my general feeling on Windows 7, besides the fact that it's actually pretty nice. So overall it's nice, but one of the things that jumps out at me most, and again, let's ignore Vista. Let's ignore the advancements they made in Vista, and let's just say, okay, you're coming from XP or OS X, so you're leaving one of those crappy operating systems behind and going over to Windows 7.
Oh, okay.
Notice I did not include Ubuntu or anything there. One thing that is big to notice is Windows XP felt old the day it shipped. And by that
like
I
a
mean,
Fisher-Price toy.
it felt like a Fisher-Price toy, and the applications were old on it. So like WordPad. You loaded up WordPad on XP, you immediately were greeted with this old WordPad that was almost identical to WordPad on, Windows NT4 that shipped in like 1997, 1998.
The program I was trying to remember the name of is called Resource Monitor.
Sorry. Oh, yeah. That's a nice one.
Yeah.
So it's... Now, but under... And the same is true with like games, right? Minesweeper and Solitaire were literally like the same versions that shipped in Windows 3.0 in the early 90s.
Sure.
In XP. Now, they actually have nice, OpenGL accelerated, super fancy, cool looking with great graphics applications that replace all those. WordPad finally looks like a light version of Microsoft Word. The games, it now ships with like 10 different games, and they all are nice with cool animations.
I got to be honest with people,
this
episode's a little visual heavy, so I apologize. We are showing some of this stuff, but so what your basic tool is the built-in. What's funny in 7 is they've taken a lot of stuff out, but they've changed a few things. Like it doesn't ship with a movie editor. They had Windows Movie Maker and stuff.
They basically a lot of their tools. So like they took Windows Movie Maker and renamed it to Windows Live Movie Maker.
And they pulled it out of the core OS.
And it's still free, but you have to go to live.com or .net or whatever the heck their website is, and you can download, the new MSN Messenger and Windows Live Photo Gallery and Windows Live Movie Maker and all these other apps. They kind of just treat it as an external download. So it's free, and honestly, it's kind of a gray area whether or not you should consider it part of the shipping Windows 7, because I think Microsoft treats it as part of Windows 7, but you get it from the website.
I got to say, they've really improved Solitaire in this version. It is very fancy.
This is what I'm saying, and it's a little thing, and come on, it's just not that important that it ships with a great Solitaire, but you compare this with, like look at OS X. What games does OS X ship with? Chess, a version of Chess that it's shipped with for about a decade. What does Ubuntu ship with? It ships with like 20 games. They're all really old and ugly. I'm just like, but Microsoft looks at it and said, you know what? Let's make a reasonable investment. Let's put some really cool looking games on here, and it's nice.
I should probably stop playing Solitaire.
Yeah, stop playing. This is what I'm saying. Chris gets distracted by the show. So I like that, and it's not just the games, but it's like the WordPad and everything else looks nicer now, and it has more features now, and it feels more modern.
Let's talk a little bit. Oh, one more thing before I get into the negative stuff is I really like OS X's been Snow Leopard has something called openCL. In Windows 7, they're shipping something called DirectX Compute.
Yep.
It's GPU accelerated computation. So in Windows 7, if you drag a video file onto a device that cannot play that, like a video, like an Arcos device or a Zune or whatever, they cannot natively play that format. Windows 7 will immediately begin to automatically transcode it to the format supported by that device. When it does that transcoding, it uses DirectX Compute to accelerate the transcoding. So it's happens much faster.
So it doesn't bog down your whole machine while it does it, which is very nice.
Right.
Oh, one other thing, while we're still talking a little about the look and feels and whatnot, one thing I really like about 7, and this reminds me a lot of like Barrel before it became merged back with Compiz,
Right.
where it was very easy to use something called Emerald. And Emerald was kind of basically allowed you to manage your themes under Linux using Barrel,
Okay.
to change your colors and your hues
right,
and your
right.
warmth
Yeah.
of your existing windows.
Yeah, they have a personalized section on Windows 7, and
Right.
Microsoft has released about 250 themes, and they only ship like 7 of them with the stock OS.
Right.
But they change the whole color
They
and
change
sound
everything,
theme
yeah.
in the background.
And
all
now
that
if you go into and adjust the window color specifically, you can specifically adjust the color to be whatever you want, and it's not just
right. You can go in there
limited.
and you can go in there and specify, and it's not bad. I mean,
There's nothing like crazy fancy about it, but it's really nice to be able to.
you can make your own themes.
You can make it look how you want, insofar as you can change the feel of it, but you can't change like the window style. You have to leave like the button placement and everything the same.
Right.
But it's a step up. Like if you come from OS 10, you can't do anything, ever.
Right.
Whereas
But
on Windows
it
7,
pales in comparison to what you can do under GNOME or KDE.
Oh, by far. Yeah. Under GNOME or KDE, you can go crazy. But like XP, you could either be ugly XP or uglier XP.
Right.
And those
or-
were your two
yeah,
options.
yeah,
Or you could go high contrast reverse ugly XP. I think those were the 3 XP look and feel options. Whereas now we've actually got something that, hey, that looks nice.
Sure.
So
it does look nice.
I got to applaud them for that. It looks nice. And they did it in such a way where they can maintain their Microsoft Windows patented look and feel, blah, blah,
Now,
blah, while still giving us the ability to customize.
I got a couple of negative things to comment on here before we roll on and wrap up our Windows 7 review. The first is it still has Windows Genuine Advantage and activation. I just simply hate it.
I do
And
too.
if
It's awful.
you buy a machine or you have an eOpen license, you don't really have to fight with it too much. But if you are just a regular consumer who just buys an operating system, you're the one that gets boned. Congratulations, you have to deal with it. It mostly works. I've had one test machine that I could not activate for whatever reason. I don't know why. It was a legitimate copy. The other thing that I'm not a big fan of is I still feel the overall Windows search indexer, which is much improved
It's much better.
in Windows 7,
Yeah.
still can put a noticeable speed impact on like a system, maybe a laptop, where you have a single drive and it's indexing.
Yeah.
And when you combine that with a beast of software like Outlook or something like that, the combination of Windows Search and Outlook and all of the threads that Outlook throws up and all this different stuff can really slow a system down to the point where you're like, wait a minute, I'm just checking my email.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. The other thing I would like to mention that I don't really like, so the mail client that it ships with is kind of garbagey.
Yeah.
I
I didn't even bother. I just looked at it and thought, this is just...
It's kind of garbagey. And the amazing thing is, like Ubuntu ships with Evolution. It's great. OS 10 ships with Mail.app, which can connect to, your Exchange server and do all this other stuff. The mail application that Windows 7 ships with
Does
is just
nothing.
kind of anemic. And I'm just like, well, that seems silly to me that nowadays you'd ship with a kind of anemic thing. One of the other things that drives me a little crazy is the default version of Internet Explorer out of the box wants you to opt in to like this thing where you help Microsoft track how well it's doing.
Yeah.
And every time you load it up, it pushes you to opt in, and there's no way to say never ever ask me this again.
Oh, really?
You have to opt into it
Jeez.
eventually, and
I don't
that
even use
annoys
IE.
the snot out of me.
I've
I've been trying to, because I wanted to give it a shot. I want to say, how are people going to use
yeah,
this
but
out of
you're
the
using
box?
Chrome now.
I am. I eventually I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's IE8 in Windows 7 is supposed to have process isolation and better security, but
Now,
now I'm just done with IE.
I did not like the UI for the new IE under Windows 7. It just
Yeah.
is not nice.
Yeah.
It was faster, peppier, and I had no problems with it. Other than the UI was no good, and it kept prompting me to opt into
Yeah.
some stupid monitoring thing. I'm like, no.
The customer
Don't make
experience
me do
improvement
that.
program.
Yeah,
something
I don't.
Like
I
that.
don't need to do that.
I agree with you, sir.
Yeah. Now, all that said, there are still things it just doesn't ship with that kind of weirds me out. Like, now I know like OS 10 doesn't ship with an Office suite out of the box. You have to buy it separately. But
Although
I'm
their it sucks, but their text editor can open rich text, and Word docs.
Yeah, so WordPad can do pretty good.
It's pretty much WordPad, yeah.
It's pretty much, well, WordPad's a little more powerful than the
Yeah,
text
yeah,
editor
yeah.
on OS 10. But that's all you get for an Office suite out of the box, whereas, you go under
it's
any
oh,
Linux distro,
yeah,
you
that's
get
true.
OpenOffice or
Yep.
KOffice or something. I got spoiled by
Having it already
I
there.
automatically have it.
You didn't even have to go
I don't have to go and
install
get it. I just
Yeah.
have something that works. Because
That is nice.
honestly, how many of us need to have some specific Office suite? We just need a friggin' word processor and a few other tools, and we're good to go.
Google Docs.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
but
what?
we don't need to be online for everything. Anyway,
Yeah, I agree.
so that
Although I
said,
always am now. What's up, Air Card?
so
Wi-Fi in the house.
God. Performance I liked. It was fairly peppy. I found
Yep.
it to be fast and
Yep.
responsive.
Yep.
Where like I don't want to bring up Vista too much, but like in Vista
Voila.
or whatnot, when you load up like a window full of files, it just chug chug.
Way better performance.
Windows
than Vista.
7 doesn't really have that as bad. It's still not great. Like it's still not an immediately pop up and you can work with everything.
Right,
It
and
still
it's-
takes
it's
a while
not-
to index stuff.
It's
but-
not at XP's performance level, and it's not at Ubuntu's performance level,
No,
or
not at all.
or openSUSE's. But it's better than Vista. And
Yeah.
if you're using Windows, that's kind of the benchmark you have to go by at this point.
It really is.
Is it better than Vista? Because you can go XP, but you're just kind of pretty soon everybody's going to call you a misogynist if you're sticking with XP for too much longer.
XP, yeah, it's fast when you install it, and then that's
Oh,
all
you
get.
like misogyny? Oh,
That's the only thing you get.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I say that 90% of the world that's on Windows is still on XP.
Yeah,
so,
seriously.
but I think it's a pretty good release as far as Windows goes.
It is.
Um,
I also want to say I'm very, very happy with the driver support.
Oh,
so I
yeah,
put it
yeah,
on like
yeah,
the
yeah.
netbook here. It has supported everything out of the box and immediately updated my video drivers and whatnot. My desktop at home, that was a custom built rig, supported everything out of the box.
Same.
My webcam, my Logitech webcam, which is a third party thing, it grabbed the driver for it, installed
Yep.
it completely behind the seams and worked perfectly.
Yep. Same with you?
No, it didn't work on my Microsoft mouse.
Oh, your Microsoft mouse didn't
That's
work?
kind of funny. That's kind of funny that it wouldn't work on the Microsoft
So,
mouse.
my day job, we all use MacBooks, and some of the coworkers there have been loading Windows 7 on their MacBook. And when you first install it, like it just says generic video and generic monitor.
Yeah.
But then if you go into Windows Update and you say there's a thing in there about you can install other updates, find out how, you click that and basically you accept the Microsoft Update terms and use policy. Once you accept the Microsoft Update, not Windows Update, but the Microsoft Update, then it refreshes the available updates, and then boom, all of the drivers for the system were in there.
Yeah.
Sound card, NVIDIA video driver, everything. Click. So it was literally install the OS, go check that button because it did load the Wi-Fi and network card drivers. So you go click that, then you hit refresh, and you hit install, and you're done. Not even
Not
a
bad,
reboot.
not bad.
I mean, the video drivers, the sound card drivers, webcam drivers installed and did not even require a restart.
Nice.
I was able to go from basic VGA resolution to the full 1400 by 900 or whatever the res is with the full 3D and Aero without
Nothing.
restarting.
And you have to do anything. It's perfect.
Didn't have to, yeah. So,
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
was-
that was really cool. The driver support is very good.
It's too late. You saw everything.
It was too late. I had seen everything.
So just to also point out in terms of application compatibility, so my key applications I need on a Windows desktop, VMware first and foremost, and Dropbox, both work just fine. Out of the
Yeah.
box, no
Yeah,
problems.
yeah.
So there's no issues there. Dropbox and VMware both work perfectly without a hitch.
Now, the thing is, am I switching to it as my full-time OS? I might have said maybe on a couple of systems, but I'm playing with a new distro called openSUSE 11.2, and we're going to talk about that.
We're going to talk about that next. I will say, however, if you're a Linux guy or a Mac guy and you need to play games, you need to get actual work done. That's like from like your day job where they run Windows. Windows 7 is the right choice.
Yeah.
There's just no doubt about it.
There's interesting. So here, a lot of my clients are medical offices, and the software that they would have to run, the vendors would say, we're not supporting Vista. You have to run XP.
Yeah.
And that's become a little harder and harder to find systems that still ship with XP. Some systems could qualify for a downgrade license. Some wouldn't, especially off the shelf from like Costco or, wherever they bought them.
Yeah.
I'm already getting letters from these vendors saying, by the way, we're testing Windows 7. Expect to have support in December.
Nice.
Like they're already. The teleconferencing, the telemed system I was at. The vendors there also make another big piece of software in Washington State, and all the guys that were running Windows 7 on their laptop, and they said, "Oh yeah, no, we're testing in-house big time."
That's true. So
we're
like,
recommending people go to 7.
A lot
so-
of like my audio hardware, like I use M audio devices and whatnot. A lot of those already support Windows 7
Yeah.
and have improved Windows 7 support coming.
Yeah.
Whereas it took like a year to get Vista like
And I
64-bit
think
support.
that's going to be the big differentiator between Vista and Windows 7 launches. Is in Vista, it took like 6-7 months to get a good NVIDIA driver with performance in Vista. There's already a fantastic driver out.
It works great.
For 7 before they launched. I mean, all these people are like, obviously people are ready for a replacement to Vista.
Yep.
So the vendors a lot of them seem to be stepping up as far as support. That's going to make it for people that have to deal with people running Windows, that's going to make it a lot easier from our standpoint.
Yeah. One last thing I would like to say negative.
All right.
Windows Media Player. Seriously,
Needs to
guys,
go. It needs to go.
It's so awful.
They just need to rip it out. And if
it plays media fine. It does a very good job of that.
Yeah.
But like,
and its network streaming capabilities.
Here's the thing.
One thing real quick.
Yeah.
The Windows Media Player, there's supposed to be a very easy way if you have a desktop at home with Windows Media Player and you have the media sharing turned on, there's supposed to be a way you can use your laptop on the go. And if it also has Windows 7, you can connect to your home system and stream all of your home media library over the internet. Like there's supposed to be some way using universal plug and play that they can connect up and stream when you're on the road. And that sounds really cool. Otherwise, I just do not like Windows Media Player.
I'm not a big fan. And here's the thing. So
put in the Zune player. Rip it out and put in the Zune player.
Here's the thing. So Zune player is actually pretty decent. I mean, we can laugh at Microsoft.
You gotta get used to the UI though. It's a totally different
weird UI, but it's not bad. But here's the thing. So you install any version of Linux or Mac OS 10, and you have a good music media management application. No matter what it is, there's all different ones out there. They all have them. Not in Windows. You get Windows Media Player, which technically has playlists, technically can handle any type of file format, really, but it's just such a pain in the butt to use.
Yeah.
It got me frustrated just trying to set up a simple playlist.
I immediately install VLC.
I do too. I immediately install VLC and I go out and I find some form, like I grab like Winamp or MediaMonkey or some audio player.
Yep.
The other thing is, on the flip side of that though, Windows Media Center that ships with it is actually really nice.
Very good. Windows Media Center is my favorite thing in Windows.
But this is the weird thing about it. So the Windows Media Center does all sorts of great things. It handles it very nicely.
Netflix streaming Netflix has released a Netflix plugin.
Yeah, so it's fantastic.
And you know what else is they are able to add these features to Media Center through the Windows Update system.
Yeah.
So and you can configure Media Center to check in at night. So you just turn on Media Center and then it's there.
And you're good
to
go.
Oh, I've got Netflix now.
But that's the thing that baffles me. So Windows Media Center, so great, and yet they don't have a way to nicely just play some songs.
Yeah.
How is that even something
so
you miss?
typical Microsoft where there's such a huge disconnect.
Right.
We'll give you all this you can stream media from your
It's just
desktop
this
to your
crazy
laptop
thing. Yeah.
over the internet
This
automatically.
Totally awesome, amazing feature, and yet the basic thing that everyone wanted in the first place, not really there.
It's so typical disconnect
that's-
Microsoft.
yeah.
I don't know how they're able to they shotgun shot something and they hit all this different stuff, but they don't quite hit the bullseye.
No. Yeah, they hit a ton of things though.
Yeah.
But overall, I gotta say, I gotta give Windows 7 a thumbs up. I mean, I'm not gonna go out and say A+ Microsoft, but honestly, this is pretty damn good. This is without saying this thing everyone else is saying.
Now,
This is the best Windows I've
Super
used.
Zanny in the chat room says he loves Windows Media Player. So there's obviously some people out there that think it's pretty great.
I've heard
Not my deal, though.
The blog post I did on this, I heard from a lot of people that think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I guess to each their own. I think those people are insane, but just the same. Windows 7 overall, pretty good. You got to install a bunch of software to get it going okay, but once you do, it works pretty well.
It probably does take the most tweaking.
Yeah, it takes a lot of tweaking.
And the super bar has some limitations. You can't just drop folders in there and have them all cool and stuff. But but once you get it tweaked, it's probably the best Windows OS that I've seen since '95.
As a caveat, it runs a lot better on bare metal than it does in a virtual machine. It just runs a lot better. So bear that in mind if you want to run it somewhere.
Mentioning virtual machine, one of the cool technologies in Windows 7 is it can actually boot on a physical machine, but from a VHD file, the virtual machine file that Hypervisor and Virtual PC use, which is now it's actually now an open standard file format for a virtual machine hard drive.
Right.
Windows 7 is actually able to boot off of a virtual hard drive, so you could have a virtual machine hard drive that you
really
run
cool.
either in a VM and then you can reboot and also run it physically. That's kind of
really cool. Really cool.
Geeky, I suppose.
Geeky, but come on, that's what it's all about.
All right. Commodore 256 says in his chat room he gives it an objective C.
Oh, that's just tongue-in-cheeky.
All right, that's our Windows 7 review. Right?
Yeah, you can hit
I
stop.
think
if
we're
you want.
solid there.
Yeah, no, it's good.
We're good.
Who wants to give a high five? What's going to happen now is we're going to get ready for the next review while Brian tinkles.
And Chris tinkles.
Yeah, tinkling has got to happen. Jeremy,
Jeremy, you can come do a little dance if you
yeah,
want.
if you could dance for people while we tinkle. We'll be right back with our openSUSE 11.2 review. I guess it's a preview because it's not released yet, but we're going to talk about it just the same.
Part 1. Actually, I could give people my brief Windows 7 review.
Do it. If you want, hey, Jeremy, definitely do that. Keep people entertained for a second.
Hey. They left me all alone in the studio. So much power. Actually, I wanted to mention a few things that I couldn't get in a word edgewise on the Windows 7 review. I am one of these, I'm a gamer, so Windows is my platform of choice, obviously. I don't look into the others all that much because I like to play games. And let's face it, there's not a whole lot of support for other platforms. I'm also, I've been unemployed for a year, so I'm not, I don't have the financial means to go out and buy myself a system that can dual boot. My system at home is not powerful enough. So yeah, I switched over to Windows 7, and I came from XP. I had heard all these horror stories about Vista, so I avoided it. I'm glad I did. Just a few notes. They touched all the big stuff. I don't really like the file system of Windows 7. In fact, you know what? I'll just go flat out and say that thing is terrible. Maybe I'm a little too just a little anal about it, but I like to be able to arrange my own files. I like to be able to create my own subfolders to arrange everything how I like it, and I want to be able to find it and get to it exactly when I want it, and I don't want to know where it is. And Windows tends to hide things from you. I think that it assumes that most people are stupid, which is probably a good thing in the long run, but when you install things, it doesn't always put them where you can find them immediately, especially older files. I do a lot of classic gaming. That's one of my weak spots. So I have emulators and, older things like primarily emulators on my system. And a lot of those older emulators, they don't install per se. What they are just basically files on your computer. And since they don't have a Windows installation wizard, they don't end up on your start menu, and they don't end up on your desktop. They don't end up on your quick launch. What you have to do is once you download them, you have to go search through your hard drive manually, and this is not an easy thing in Windows 7. I'm getting the hang of it now. I kind of understand how it works, but I've had Windows 7 for 3 months, and I'm only now getting the hang of it. So, yeah, I give that a big fat thumbs down. That's about all I have, and I hear the guy's coming back, so you don't have to look at me anymore. Yeah, I'm going to evacuate. Bye.
Plus that big Coke. I had to pee so bad. I couldn't stand up straight to pee.
man.
I could not stand up straight to pee.
I just sat down. This is what I did.
I should have sat because
I just sat.
it hurt. Yeah, I physically
Holy moly.
hurt.
Yeah.
I had
That's how much we love you guys.
I had
We are willing to
2 cups
sit
of this
through pain.
This big coffee right here. This big guy. See how big it is? Face, remember? Face. here.
Face. Oh,
and then
you have a big face.
Brian got me a large Coke
I did.
from McDonald's, and
Which-
I drank all of that.
Which
You can have it your way.
has some... That's the wrong people, Jeremy. That's Burger King, I think. Jack in the
I
Box?
don't know.
That's not McDonald's.
Hey,
McDonald's is ba 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 ba. I'm loving it. Yeah. Which I am McDonald's Corporation.
All right, so now we're going to do an openSUSE 11.2 review.
Yes.
Jay Rams, you want to double check, make sure you can still see my screen here?
Yes, I will do that.
All
I
right.
don't have a split screen set up for this at all, so it's just going to be you or the desktop.
Okay. Oh, man, you guys.
Ooh, that's kind of cool.
I feel so much better. What?
That in-between shot?
Yeah.
Well, now it's doing the background, that starburst,
Well, that's good.
all the way zoomed out. So whenever I switch, it like zooms in.
Well, that's better than... Brian, you're getting called as a sellout
What am I selling out for?
of McDonald's.
Well, hey, come on, guys. Seriously, I will sell out to fast food if they are willing to pay me. To sit in front of you and do this stuff. Absolutely.
The thing is,
and that's
fast
not
food
selling out because it's McDonald's.
It's so dang convenient.
Gosh,
I mean, when you're busy, it's just so dang convenient. I hate that about it. I hate that.
Hey, I just wanted to mention something.
Huh? What's that? All right.
The total recording time of this so far is already an hour 30.
Oh.
And it's 3 o'clock and we still need to get lunch.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe we won't be doing listener feedback again.
No listener feedback this week.
Dang it.
That's okay.
We'll do a separate video.
Come on, we're doing some major shows here.
All right. Let's get into this. Let's
This
get
is
going.
fairly epic.
Let's get going into this so that way we can get food before stoked.
Yep. Okay. Ready?
Ready.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm ready. I was teasing.
Okay. 3, 2.
So we've covered Windows 7. And in the last episode, we covered Ubuntu 9.10.
Yes, sir.
We're really reviewing stuff. We're reviewing operating system animals. But we would be remiss in our duties if we did not also review openSUSE 11.2, which is, according to the website,
Coming
out in,
out.
hold on, 17 days.
17 days.
So probably about 16 days from the time of your listening to this,
Yes.
roughly. So the beginning of November 12th, Thursday, November 12th is the current release.
So we thought, let's do this in a two. We're going to try this format, see if people like it, and maybe it'll work for. Maybe we'll start doing it for other distro reviews. 2-part review. Part 1 is our initial impressions. We've been running it. I've only ran it for a couple of days. Brian's been running it for like a week or so.
I've been running for about a week and a half.
Okay. So, and I put out a poll to people on Twitter, Facebook, and the forum. Said, if I'm going to do an openSUSE 11.2 review, should I do a KDE install or a GNOME install? And the overall majority response was do a KDE focused install. So I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about for my experience. I'm going to come at it from a KDE 4 perspective. And then next episode, when we do part 2 of the review, I'll have installed GNOME and played with it some more.
I got to be honest, I had GNOME running for about 1 day. And then I've been only on the KDE version of it since then, full time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so then we're both coming at it. From
We're
KDE
both coming up
perspective.
from the KDE side of things.
So let's start.
But I did use the GNOME side enough for about a full day, so I've used it enough to know what's going on there. But I do need to spend some more time with it.
Let's start with the installation. The installer is based around Yast, and it's I'm not going to give it. It has improved and it become easier, but I'm not giving it full points for how easy it is to install. It still asked a lot of questions.
I'm going to say a lot of
Workable,
nice
though.
things.
Very technical, workable.
No. I'm going to say a lot of nice things in a minute. But for now, I'm going to say scrap this installer and start over, you guys. This is freaking ridiculous.
Yeah.
This installer, it looks a lot better than it used to. The last version in 11.0 and 11.1, they made huge improvements in the way that Yast looks. I got to give them mad props. They've obviously put some serious work into this. However, this installer thing they've got going on is old, it's antiquated, it feels clunky, it doesn't look right. Scrap it.
I don't know if I'd say it feels okay. It doesn't look clunky, but it does
you know
feel
what?
a bit clunky.
When I can throw in Ubuntu or OS 10 or Windows 7, have it boot in some cases to a live CD, in some cases to installer, but always 2 or 3 clicks. I choose my drive, it goes done. I don't have to sit in this weird.
But flip
thing.
side is, being a technical user, I do like having the options, and you definitely get them in openSUSE's installer.
You know what though? I prefer to have the options post install. For me personally, like I like to be able to think, you know what? I have a distro or a copy of an OS. I want to have it customized so that I have a custom image that I can send out to my users, so I can blast this custom image on everyone's machine.
Ninja.
And
I hear
it's
what
got
you're
all
saying.
the custom repos. But for installing it for the first time, I don't want to do it then. I want to create the image and then blast it everywhere.
Ninja wait. What about?
I'm gonna ninja wait as soon as you ninja talk.
What about the? I really like the partitioner is basic, but I click a button and now I'm in partitioner heaven where I can do all this crazy great stuff.
Okay.
I like having options.
But
I'm going to say, you know what? I like it.
But we've already got that, like in the Ubuntu Live CD installer or the Windows installer or the Mac installer.
I'm trying to get excited about it. It's not
the installer.
It's not quite there.
The
yet.
installer is the weak point.
Yeah.
That for me, for openSUSE, currently the installer is the weak point. There are
All
two
right.
weak points. The installer is the big one.
Let's move on then, because the installer is workable. It's just not ideal.
It's just not ideal.
Moving on.
Yes.
I went with KDE 4. I believe it's 4.3. I'll check here. in a second.
4.3 does something. Whatever it defaultly ships
I'll
with.
tell you exactly. It is KDE
I think it's-
4.3.1 release 5.
Okay, yeah.
And
I think it's going to be 4.3.2 on release day.
it looks their default options for KDE 4. It is the most modern looking KDE, most modern looking operating system I've ever seen.
Dude, it is incredible.
It looks great.
It looks phenomenal.
Any issues I have with it might be with I'm still not digging the way KDE does desktop icons.
I love it now.
The widget thing?
Okay.
Really?
So I got to be clear. I was very back and forth on this one. I am full on in man geek love with the way KDE's handling
I
Plasma
do like
and
this
their
clock.
widgets.
I just put a
Now
clock up
resize
here.
it. Make it huge.
I don't know how to resize it.
There
See?
you go.
That's
Click and drag on that.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
Uh-oh. Make it huge. Make it ginormous huge. You can.
Yeah,
So why
okay.
not?
All right. See, it's... Wow, that's cool, though.
And here's the thing.
That's pretty cool.
And now rotate it.
What? Oh, I can rotate it. Look at that.
The whole...
Well,
I don't know,
why
but
you would
it's
rotate
cool.
a clock, but it's cool you can do it.
See, here's the thing.
That
So-
is kind of neat.
So KDE's new Air theme, they call it Air.
Yes.
Which honestly, I think is bad naming considering Microsoft's theme is Aero.
And then you have Adobe Air.
Yeah, it's just like there's too much airiness going on in naming.
Right.
But
It's like, remember when Microsoft came out with Active Directory and Active
Oh,
Server
yeah.
Pages?
Way too much
all
active.
Of all of the ancillary companies then went with everything active.
yeah, and Apple puts an I in front of everything. I'm just, you
yes.
guys come up with something original naming-wise. But that said, the work you're doing, the design, the general look and feel, and the way you interact with this
Okay,
is
I'm really
phenomenal.
actually digging all these widgets. These widgets are
Friggin'
not
A,
bad.
I told you. And these are just the surface of what's available. These are just what it ships with. So
Oh, this
interacting
is
with,
actually really cool.
I'm telling you this, man.
Yeah,
You got to just listen to me right from the start.
I'm sorry.
It's just something you need to do. So Chris has been running it in a VM.
Yep.
So he's running it. What you're seeing right now, if you're watching the video version, is openSUSE running in a VM.
Next episode, the Windows 7 machine here on the desk will be running. It'll be a physical openSUSE install.
I've been running it on native hardware. I have a Core 2 3 gigahertz machine at home that I'm running it on. Nice little 8 gigs of RAM. Nice beefy box.
I like
and
this thing.
I absolutely am in love with it. I do have problems with it, and I'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah,
but
I do too. I have a couple
I'm
things
going to
to say.
say this. So this is definitely the most polished KDE experience I've had by far.
Yeah.
This blows the Kubuntu KDE experience out of the water. Absolutely. No question about it. Not to belittle what the Kubuntu guys are doing, but this is a phenomenal KDE experience. And I was very, very hesitant when I heard that openSUSE was switching to be KDE 4 for the default.
For the default, I mean, it's still a great GNOME desktop
I'm
too,
going to
right?
be honest. It's still a great GNOME desktop. I used it for a day. It was fine. Basically, it was a minor polish. They updated the theme a little bit, and it's a minor polish on what they already had, which was very good and very workable. That said,
I like these widgets. These are nice looking widgets.
well, they do a great job. Everything in KDE 4 looks nice, for the most part. There's a few spots that need polishing still, but for the most part, everything is very, very good.
My issues with KDE remain to be the UI, like on a netbook, is total fail because it takes up so much room. There's
does.
so much unused space still in KDE that like I'm just looking at the file manager here, and it just feels like to be able to look at files.
Hey, you want to freak out for a second?
Yeah.
Click in the upper right-hand corner on the cashew, the upper right-hand corner of the screen.
Yeah, this guy.
No, sorry, right-hand corner.
Okay, this guy.
That's left. No, right-hand corner of the screen.
Oh.
Cashew?
Yeah, this. Yeah.
Okay, click it.
Yeah.
Wait. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Where's the resize? Zoom out.
Zoom out. Okay. Yeah, I know. I don't get it though. I don't get that. I know you can zoom out the entire desktop as a plasma.
Everything's a plasma and everything is zoomable.
Plasmoid or whatever.
Now it's weird. I know it's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. Why would I ever zoom out my entire desktop like that?
What? Now think about this through for a second.
All right.
You've got some plasma widgets that handle your instant messaging. You've got some plasma widgets that handle your RSS feeds and your time and your calendars and your email and your weather and everything else.
Sure.
Then you zoom out.
So I put those outside of my desktop space, but I still have them. Right?
Right. Well, they're still in your desktop space. You're just zoomed out now.
I'm not following you.
Everything gets smaller. So if you're on a netbook, you just zoom out.
Oh, so this is actually like I'm actually supposed to use it like this. This isn't
You
for like
can.
organizing.
Yep.
I mean, I could. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I can kind of see that. Boy, it makes a lot more sense if you're watching the video version, but
It makes a lot more sense if you're watching the video version.
All right. I'm still kind of struggling with it a little bit, but
Yes.
I can kind of see
And
it.
here's the
different.
reason I love this is that it's different. And it's not different in a well that's weird. It's different in the kind of startling way because it's not what you expect from an operating system.
I'd have to change my general way of working.
Yes.
But if I could learn to do it, it would be a workflow improvement.
Yes, exactly. And it's kind of like with all of the I don't know, like the netbook remixes for Ubuntu or any of the other various netbook oriented OSs that have come out, right? They have a different workflow than you're used to with working with a desktop. But it's good because it opens you up to being able to do something that's focused on the device that's in front of you. Now with this, with KDE4, it's different.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that it is different than your standard desktop experience. But I think it's good different.
Yeah, okay.
So I think it opens us up to having a lot more power on our desktop, but it is going to take some learning curve for people to get
the
used to.
plasmoids are way better than they were even last release.
Oh, way better
than
in 4.2.
Yeah.
Hugely better than 4.1, and 4.0 of KDE was almost unusable.
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah. It was ridiculous. They should have called that 3.9 beta 1 or something.
I think that
But this is great. This is phenomenal great. The previews, the peeking into files with the file manager works great. The look and feel works good. openSUSE did a very, very nice job of pulling that all together. And they basically have put out the most polished KDE desktop I've ever seen. And this includes KDE like the old 3.5 series of desktops.
And I like their approach at organizing things in the menu structure. It's very good. The this boot up process, it starts a basic Linux boot up and then it loads an X server to do the graphical install.
Yeah.
And then it transitions it right into the desktop. There's not that flicker effect, just like we talked about in the Ubuntu 9.10 review.
That's super nice.
Yeah, it's overall it's very, very, very nice.
Very nice.
I think this is the most modern feel to a Linux distro I've ever seen.
I would go so far as to say this is the most modern feel to an operating system I've ever seen.
It came up with the updater, worked very flawlessly, came up and said updates available. I clicked it, installed very fast. And when I say installed those updates very fast, I don't know if they're using Delta RPMs or what, because I was actually on my MiFi connection when I tried it, and it was able to download the updates on the go.
Here's the thing that always strikes me. When you're using like Fedora, especially older versions, because I know the newer versions of Fedora, they've improved greatly. But like old versions of Yum and Fedora was very slow to download your updates.
Actually,
it was very slow.
The performance is
very good.
Really, and I'm under a VM.
And you're under VM.
It's
phenomenally
really good,
better on native hardware.
I like Dolphin. I like the new Dolphin. I know we talked about that before.
But so what I'm saying is, so it uses RPM, of course, as the package manager, right?
Yes.
But for some reason, whatever the openSUSE guys are doing is just a lot faster and easier to use than what the Fedora guys are doing in terms of package management.
Well, Fedora's working on that, though. I mean, that's one of the things they're working on in 12.
But what I'm saying is, so like that's one of my other major gotchas. I like apt. I like Debian. I'm comfortable there. I've been happy with how well it's worked.
Sure.
Whereas I've had a lot of problems with RPM based distros in the past and having like dependency resolution and that sort of thing.
I gotcha.
I haven't had that many problems with that under 11.2. I had a couple when I was trying to install some non-supported packages.
I got a Java error during installation for the package didn't install, but
okay.
I think I'm looking right now. I don't know if people are watching. People are watching the video version right now. I'm looking at the software manager, and I've always actually been a pretty big fan of it. It does feel faster under 11.2, and I'm able to go in here and just say, all right, I'll go ahead and I'll install Flash Player. I say accept. I mean, I'm literally doing this as I talk. And I'm already installing it. And I'm good to go.
It's good to go.
It's downloading and installing right now.
And what's extra nice is the one-click install stuff. It's much like Linux Mint packages, where they kind of just package up all the packages you'll need to install something. But basically, the one-click install, you can go to a website, click on a link, boom, and it just starts installing that package that you wanted to install. It's great. That's true. Like if you want to install like a new version of MonoDevelop and whatnot, you can just go to monodevelop.com, boom, one click install and install it on there. Whereas getting MonoDevelop running on a lot of other distros can be a royal pain in the butt.
And if you want to play with Hypervisor, they've got some management tools inside YAST, which is their system configuration tool.
Oh,
cool.
Reminds me.
What is it, Brian?
YAST has been redone to use the new KDE4 styles.
It does. It feels like a native KDE app.
It looks good.
and you can get to the entire thing in the main page, or you can jump to individual sections.
That was one of the things I kind of gave openSUSE a hard time for in 11.0.
It felt like a bolted-on thing.
It felt out of place.
Yeah, now
it felt
it's much more
old
integrated
and clunky.
It's got built-in search, and so you can search for the task you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So now I really like the system. I also like the general KDE apps it ships with. So
you notice they ship with Firefox as default instead of Conqueror.
Yes,
for a good reason. I mean, Conqueror has a great HTML engine, but it's just not. I just do not want to use it as my main browser.
No, I don't either. But otherwise, what can you do? They also ship with a lot of. So one of the features that they're pushing is social networking support, and they're taking a very different approach to this than like the GNOME 3.0 approach, where they're talking about the social desktop and GNOME 3.0.
Right.
openSUSE is just shipping good applications that handle social networking websites.
And they've specifically made a point to that effect. They're not trying to go out on this whole integration with the cloud. It's your social cloud. No, they're just saying, you know what, if you want to use those things, we're going to just try to pick best of breed applications.
Right. So they've got really great plasmoids available for your widgets, for putting them on your desktop, for interacting with that. And they also are shipping things like Chikok. I don't know how to I don't know how to pronounce this, but it's basically a Twitter client for KDE4. They're shipping with that now. They got Copete, which is great. If you're using the GNOME side of things, they're using Gwibber for the Twitter and Facebook.
Just
and
as a follow up, so while we were talking, I went and installed Flash through the SUSE package manager under YAST.
Yep.
And now I have Flash 10.R32 with the included Firefox plugin on my system and good to go.
Right. So
that was really quick.
It's really quick. Now it's basically on par with how Ubuntu's doing it, but it's an important tidbit. It's something that if you're a good Linux distro, you've got to be able to do. openSUSE does it. Let's see.
The fact that it's not just a matter of installing Flash, but also installed the corresponding Firefox plugin is really nice.
It did it all great.
Yeah,
no issues.
It ships with your general top tier KDE applications, including Digicam for your photo management,
for your music.
Amarok version 2. I'm not sure. I'll get you the specific version. It's version 2.11 of Amarok. So if you're a big Amarok user.
Basically, it's the latest and greatest. Yeah. It's the KDE 4 Amarok.
Now, I think this is going to become my main desktop at least for the next couple of weeks. We're going to be reviewing.
So you can really give it a whirl.
Yeah, I'm going to try out the GNOME version here in a bit too.
Now the big screen you've got up on the upper hand left, the desktop.
The desktop folder.
Yeah.
So where I put all my desktop icons.
I usually just get rid of that.
Yeah.
There's no.
So you can't really store stuff on your desktop. Like you can't put files you're working on and just have icons on your desktop.
But
it has to be inside this plasmoid.
No.
Is this like a plasmoid that displays a folder? I don't know.
Go look at your root folder, basically.
My user folder?
Yeah, so you've still got your desktop folder. And you can still look at the stuff in your desktop folder.
So I've got a desktop folder, and then this is stuff that's sitting inside that desktop folder, which then this plasmoid displays on my desktop. And I can turn this on or off. So if I don't want desktop icons, I can close it.
Yep.
But I can't just add icons to my desktop. I have to have that plasmoid running in order to throw a new, if I have an image file I'm working on, which... that's not so bad, I guess.
No, it's really not so bad at all.
It's a little extra thing because if I close that but then the nice thing is I can also close and open that plasmoid and desktop icons are on, desktop icons are off.
I want to say one thing because we're doing this review on a VMware, so it's in a virtual machine.
Yeah, on a VMware.
That means that a lot of the desktop effects are not visible. So like the various transparencies. So like if you look at the taskbar down at the bottom.
It's got quasi-transparency right now.
It's got quasi, and it's very gray. It's very dark, and it's very gray.
Right.
You get when you're running that on a native, real true video hardware that's supported, it has a nice transparency to it that honestly, it looks about on par with how Windows 7 looks in terms of the taskbar.
Nice.
So which is great. Also, like that folder view that you have up there, or you had up there, has a much nicer transparency with it. Different pop-up windows, like a lot of those windows will have certain levels of transparencies associated with them, and it just looks nicer the better hardware you've got to view it.
So I'm playing with plasmoids right now, and I'm trying to find where we live and where we're at, and I can't find us. So I want to talk about a couple of negative things really quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when I first installed it, I wanted to change my screen resolution, right?
Yeah,
I've done that a few times in my life.
Sure.
Maybe like if I could go back in time and then fast forward my life, I would probably be able to count like maybe 1 trillion times that I've changed screen resolution.
Thereabouts, yeah.
So you go to the desktop. You would think you would right click and say go to desktop settings, right?
Okay.
No. All right. I cannot change my background in here. Now I can change my wallpaper, and they include a very handy little thing that will go out and download new wallpapers off the internet Very cool.
Yeah, that's very nice.
So I can go get.
But it's not your resolution.
That's not where I changed my resolution. Okay, so
Did you find it eventually?
to get to change my resolution, I have to go into my menu here. Then I have to configure my desktop, and then I looked around here. So then I saw appearance. It's not an appearance. I didn't think it was, but I thought I'd check.
It's not there.
So then I went into desktop. Okay, I went into desktop. Right? You think maybe it's in here? I can set multiple desktops. I can set what the edges of my screens do. I can set my screensaver. I can't change my screen resolution.
Nope, not there.
Then I saw 4 categories down. There is display.
Yeah.
And I went in here and I was able to actually find where I changed. But it took me a while. I mean, that's 6, 7, 8 clicks to be able to change my screen resolution. Something that shouldn't require that. And then look at this window. If you're watching the video version, you'll see it, but I'll just describe it to you. Look how much blank space is taken up on my screen to be able to do something like this.
Wait a minute though. How often do you have to change? I know we do it a lot, but once you've got it set up, how often do you change your screen resolution?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how it handles hooking up additional monitors, but
that's a good point. That's a good point.
You know, I look at this window, and it's just an example of it's a lot of wasted screen real estate. There is a big blank bar. There's big blank spaces all over this screen. It's it's ugly.
It does need some work. You're right. You're right.
Even how much room it takes up to do such a simple task. And this isn't an openSUSE fault. This is a KDE. It is just that is ugly.
It is.
Now the window widgets are very nice. The functionality is very good. In fact, they give you a little example of what the screen resolution will look like in the right hand side. I like that.
It's very nice.
It's very helpful. It shows me what that is one of the best things. I mean. It's very nice to be able to see what the aspect ratio is going to look like when I change resolution,
Absolutely.
how fonts are going to look. Very well done to the KDE team.
They did that very nice, but yes, agreed. There are many applications, primarily when it comes to settings, that are kind of ugly, kind of buried deep, and kind of obscure for a traditional computer user. It's going to be a little weird.
Yeah, see, Mike Linux is saying in the chat room that KDE 3 is not so bad. But I also think KDE 3 had a lot of dead space.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I think KDE 3 is.
Now it's not like it screws with my workflow. It's not like it makes it so I can't do my job. It's just an eye candy thing.
It is.
It's like this really beautiful desktop, and then it just kind of has these couple of areas that I'm like, why is that like that? That just doesn't complement the rest of the desktop at all.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Performance is great. Stability has been great in the couple of days that I've ran it. And when I load it in physical hardware, I'm going to comment on the desktop effects.
Now let me ask you this. Hey, go click on that little KDE menu button there.
All right, the little which is a SUSE lizard in openSUSE.
the SUSE lizard.
Yeah.
All right, go to the Office suite.
Office suite, the word processor.
Yeah. Load up the word processor. What word processor loads?
OpenOffice.
That I find interesting.
Not K-Office?
So I know it's openSUSE. I know SUSE, and Novell. It's tied together. And I know Novell has a lot of investment into OpenOffice. And OpenOffice is a great suite. I love it. However, I'm also a really big fan of the current KDE 4 version of K-Office. I think it's really nice. Honestly,
Look
I think
how much room that toolbar takes too.
I think it's incredible. Well, you can modify it, but
I know, but still, just
it's
saying defaults here.
But by default, it does take up a lot of space. But it's incredibly nice, like gorgeous nice. The current version of Kwrite is incredible. It's a great word processor.
Now I could go over to the software installer, and obviously I could load that up.
Oh yeah, you can toss it on there, and I did at home for mine. But I was a little disappointed in that part. I would have liked to have seen, because otherwise it is the best out of the box KDE experience I've seen. I would have loved to have seen it take a step further and be like the real KDE showcase, where it had the best KDE apps, which would include K-Office.
Yeah,
I would have liked that.
openSUSE is darn near a KDE showcase.
It is.
With the exception of having to use Firefox and OpenOffice. But
right.
I think they just looked at it and said, from a practical standpoint,
yeah,
people need OpenOffice.
And Firefox, honestly, it's the de facto. So, and it's going to make people more comfortable switching to it. That's for sure.
I don't know for sure, but I think OpenOffice probably has a leg up as far as opening like docx files and other Office 2007 OpenXML
actually,
files.
they make a good point in the chat room right now. K-Office is not technically out of beta.
Yeah, but so a lot of the software on this machine in this
no, but still, like the OpenOffice version and Firefox are not beta releases. They're the stable releases. You know what? That is absolutely fair. And while normally I would say we'll just use the previous version, in this case, we're waiting for the full stable KDE 4 version of K-Office.
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
You know what? I'll give him that one. I'll definitely give him that one.
So overall, digging it.
I'm really digging it so far, which is weird for me because I'm not a big RPM distro guy.
Right.
That usually puts me off right up front.
Sure.
they're doing a very nice job.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep running it for the next 2 weeks. I'm going to really take it to the limit and see what I can do with it. For next up, I'm gonna start putting on like Ardour and all the video and audio editing packages I can.
Yep.
And I'm really going to try and break OpenOffice
If you're
11.2.
a shop that uses a lot of SLES Enterprise, SUSE Linux Enterprise on your servers, this is a great complement to run on the desktop.
Yep.
Because it's essentially the same technology. It's a very, very, very nice desktop that you can run,
Very
and it
nice.
complements your backend technology. So
Yep.
that is our openSUSE 11.2 Part 1 review.
Yep. That's a good point that you made.
You're welcome.
It's clear.
All right, so we got to wrap and then do the intro.
Holy moly.
We're almost a 2-hour show.
Jesus, mother of mercy.
Yeah, I know. But we
Still.
actually haven't paused that much except for our potty break.
No.
This is a very long show. Yeah.
Yeah, we can close this out and then Chris will write me up an intro. I do believe that wraps up this week's show that is now like 8 million years long.
Yeah, we were going to do some feedback, but again, we ran out of time.
ran out of time.
So
There's
I'm just
too
going to
mu-
do a separate show on
There's
it.
just too much.
We'll make a separate video
stuff
show
going on.
Maybe before the next computer action show on the live stream. We'll answer,
that's a
and then
great
we'll
idea.
release that as a separate
Yeah, I like
show.
that.
Yeah,
I like that a
So
lot.
maybe we'll try that.
Yeah.
But it was a lot to review. We had to get it out there.
You know what?
We had to.
And it's not going to let up. There's
I
a
know
lot
it.
of stuff
I
coming
know it.
over the next month or two.
Tis the season, Brian.
Holy moly.
Brian.
Hey,
tis
Chris.
the season. You're welcome.
You mean October?
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
like around Halloween.
Yeah.
Is that what we say now around Halloween? We say tis the season.
Tis the season for reviews, Brian.
Hey, Jeremy. Happy Halloween. Tis the season, you
tis
know?
the season for reviews.
What does that
everybody.
even mean?
All right.
All right. So
let's just
so
say
if
this.
you would like to talk with us, the best place is over in our forum, jupitercolony.com, because you can hang out there.
Yeah.
You can chit chat with us, with fellow listeners, and talk about great, interesting
There
topics.
is a section in there just for the Computer Action Show.
It's a phenomenal thing. We're also over on Twitter. My name is Brian Lunduke on Twitter.
Sir.
You can also check out Chris's Twitter if you want to. We're not going to talk about
It's
what
Chris
his is.
LAS. Same on
Yeah.
Facebook. And, of course, we've got the new Facebook page where we'll be giving away the Google Wave invites over at facebook.com/Jupiter Broadcast.
Fantastic and tons of fun. All right, so tune in next week, or 2 weeks from now. We're going to be covering the last little bit of the openSUSE 11.2 review, and I'm sure a whole lot of crazy stuff that you're just going to love. You're just going to get into it.
I think so, sir. All right, everyone. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Computer Action Show. We're back in a fortnight.
Oh,
That's 2 weeks.
nice.
Oh.
Aw, that was my favorite part. Everybody notices when Brian is chilly.
Doo-ba-da-doop-da-doo-ba-da-doo, doo-ba-da-doop-ba-doop-ba-doop-ba, doo-ba-da-doop-ba-doop-ba-doop-ba-doop-ba-doo.
Is to kickstart the eyesight camera?
No.
Foot.
Oh.
Foot to its face, eyesight. Foot to its face, I love it.
This week on the Computer Action
Ooh,
Show.
all right, now we're gonna do the intro.
Why is that?
Because it might not fit on YouTube.
How far we got?
Oh, yeah, there is a limit.
You're at 156. It already might not fit.
You could just save it now. We'll just say thanks for watching.
Hey, thanks for watching.
We're not stopping the stream, but thanks for watching the recorded
Yeah,
version.
thanks for watching the recorded version. Jeremy's gonna publish this to YouTube right now.